Alrighty then, my gamers. Hope everyone's had a great day today so far. It is Sunday, nearing 5 p.m. CEST, and that means the weekly Bounty Hunters is just about ready to go off too. So for the next 3 hours, we'll be settling the 7 show matches, hopefully 7, shown on the screen currently. The event has no skill bracket restrictions, no skill restrictions whatsoever, and therefore we're open to everybody to participate. Of course, the matchmaking team is working tirelessly to make every match as even as possible, so that we can enjoy as many nail biters as possible. The name of the game is Guilty Gear Strive, and the format is first to 7 wins. I'm your usual host, QK, and now let's get this party started. So I'm a little behind on the preparations, but I think that's fine, because we're behind on schedule as well. Didn't have time to analyze the roster too much. I think the theme for tonight is we got a lot of kinship matches in a way. We got some same character kills. We got some team kills. In the 5th slot, for example, we got Civ and Bunko. In the last slot, we got Zigra and Munch. Then we got some country kills as well, as we have in the 2nd slot ZoKHiZ and ULTINEET, 2 very known players in the Finnish FGC, and especially in the Guilty Gear community, duking it out, surprisingly for the first time ever. I'm actually surprised that this matchup hasn't happened before this. I guess it's because ULTINEET has started from much more humble beginnings and is, like, over time has achieved that really, like, high-level player status through grind alone, whereas ZoKHiZ probably has the OG credentials that definitely shine through, especially at the very beginning of the game in the vanilla version. And we also have another Finnish mirror match in the form of BlackRaven and none other than Rygand in the 6th slot. This is Rygand on another sub-character, and as I've understood, it's roughly like a week plus-ish amount of game time that Rygand has had time to put in on Sin so far. Of course, this is theoretically this would be a very uneven match in terms of, you know, the player power, as Rygand is, you know, one of the top players, but since it's very early alt, it's in that way an interesting Joker card, ace card. How do they say? It's a surprise match for sure. I'm not quite sure how it's gonna pan out, but you know, it's my boy Sin, so it's probably gonna be fun to cast anyway. But yeah, what else? Oh yeah, and I guess in terms of like how the struggle has panned out for ZoKHiZ for Guilty Gear Strive, I think ZoKHiZ is probably one of the players with that sort of most prominent character crisis in our community. But for now, Zok is back on that Potemkin that, you know, most of us know him from. Yeah, let's start by calling out our first pair into the lobby. We got a couple more minutes to go. Let's see, where are my cards? Here. Starting with the Johnny Mirror, huh? And this is Square first time on Bounty Hunters versus Toprak, who has had a couple of matches under their belt already. I think Toprak actually was Toprak one of the players who had a Johnny Mirror as well? Or was it against somebody else? Actually take a peek for what Toprak has so far. Yeah, it's one of the matches was on Slayer and one was on Johnny. That's kind of like a combination of characters I would see a lot of. Like, there's a certain type of player who plays sort of like cool characters like Johnny and Slayer. So I can see a lot of players being attracted to both of those characters at the same time, interestingly. Let's see, Toprak as well. Let's get our ID as well. Okay. It's gonna be a kitten cast today, because wife is out and about, and usually cast alone in my room, but I don't want my little babies to feel too lonesome. So they're with me today. Let's see if we get any meow commentary at some point. So they're currently sleeping pretty soundly on the side. Might change for there's quite a lot of excitement in these kinds of events. So might increase the volume of my voice to what is not comfortable for little kitties to sleep through. So this will be Russia versus Turkey, Johnny Mirror. Ooh, here's another question though. How do we, if both of these players play the standard Johnny color? I guess it's usually player 1 gets the normal color, and then player 2 gets mirror color? Is that how it goes? I'm already trying to prep myself to perhaps put a little bit of a spin on the player name so that the viewers as well as myself don't get mixed which player is which. Yeah, I think this is probably the first time on Bounty Hunters. Like, maybe there was one case, I've forgotten, because we've almost had 200 events already. And like, you can do the math, 200 times 7, like how many matches we've casted so far in the history of Bounty Hunters. But I think this is the only same color mirror match that I can remember up to date. Which is kind of funny. So which player do we have in the lobby already? Let me find that out. Rankings. Okay, so we have Square, still waiting for Toprak. Hopefully awake. I think our schedule is to a certain extent like... I guess we're still pretty flexible today, but there were a couple of pairs who needed like a rather strict timing for their matches. Right, there we go. Toprak in the lobby as well, so we're ready to rock the first match of the day. So lots of long-range poking, trying to get that one hit into a knockdown, probably leading into, let's see, did I actually start? I didn't actually start my thingamagic, so let's do magic like this. So we should have the scoreboard. Yeah, okay, all good. Yeah, looking for that one hit to probably start your guard crush pressure. Johnny, one of the toughest characters to play against on defense in that way. If you actually manage to set up the guard crush and you also have a lot of resources on top of that, tension, burst, you can just keep looping it for a very long time and force the opponent to guess over and over and over again in a very uncomfortable fashion as... Oh, the misfire actually was into a slightly wrong direction, was probably hoping to hit the opponent towards the corner. So let's see which player is which. So it's actually Square who's playing the white Johnny, right? And then let's put the black in Toprak's name. This works, I think. Yeah, okay. Square and white, Toprak on the standard color. Ooh, just barely misses that air misfire. And with the footsie swinging a 6 heavy. So heavy patterns at neutral, definitely certain kind of a commitment. They have massive reach, especially that 6 heavy. But if you miss with that one, you're really prone to getting whiff punished, especially against Johnny, who has a lot of, far-reaching stuff. 5 heavy a little less so, but still quite whiff punishable. If you want to go into normals that are not as whiff punishable from Johnny's kit, you usually see, mentions of buttons like 2S, which we'll probably see some use in this matchup as well. Brave wakes up with a 6B, basically saying, all right, I think you're not gonna get into close close slash distance, if any of your standing pokes turn into, you know, far pokes, far slash especially, that 6p on wake up, it's actually surprisingly effective. Now through the wall. Toprak with a small advantage here, but the jump is not safe. I think Johnny's reversal super is not a 9-framer, so Johnny should technically have an instant air dash safe jump on the mirror match, I think? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the wireless out, goes for again, there we go, forces the mix-up. This won't be a kill, I think, because Johnny is fairly heavy on the defense department. Drifting forward, 66p, chooses to not hit a button, and now it's Square's time to potentially take it up. Instant air dash over the Mistfinder, and then drift into a throw will do the deed. What an even first matchup. Toprak is the one who takes the first point. However, definitely nothing you can say about the rest of the set here just yet, for this is basically dead even so far. And then we see the whiff punish potential. Even if you don't necessarily get much from Mistfinder, it's like around half screen real estate that you're gonna win from the Johnny if you get a single touch soft knockdown Mistfinder as a whiff punish. So definitely nothing to scoff at. Bursting in the corner, nice. Loads up the high Mistfinder as an anti-air measure. Toprak, however, tossing the opponent into the corner. We got the extension with the Wild Assault as well. Definitely worth it, because we were kind of still looking for that 50 tension, and now that tension drifting into a punish. That should be a kill, right? Even a BNB is gonna take it. Nice moves there. That's one of the beautiful things about getting the wall break. Ooh, but hold on a second. 6 heavy counter hit straight into the corner. Even though that was basically a 1-2 hit, deals a decent amount of damage and gets you into a pretty good position. But now speaking of the position, Square working with the guard crush pressure, crush it again. Toprak using a YRC as soon as it's possible. But throwing meter for meter. Ooh, a little... Yeah, Square with a very nice send there. Punch into the deflect shield, and now misses a Mistfinder. Yeah, that's gonna be a punish. But again, single Mistfinder without any resources spent. Not the biggest hitting combo for sure. Oh, we're going into the reaction test, and now this will actually hurt quite a bit if you know your combo. If you don't, it's very understandable if you don't. For their, especially at a higher level of play, you don't see 5 heavy fully charged that much. The non-charged version, sure, but it usually requires 50 meter for you to confirm that 20 frame overhead. Speaking of that 20 frame overhead, there it is. That's a more common usage that you see out of that tool. Tries to dash forward, however, far slash, and then the Mistfinder. The card is a little too far to pop up the card explosion on the opponent. Still manages to get the wall break, both players with a lot of meter, and at this point you probably burn everything that you have as soon as you can in order to prevent the opponent from playing. Is this gonna break? Yes, indeed. So this is gonna be a massive advantage. Toprak still has a burst to use though, and uses it. Yep. Break out of the opponent's guard crush loop. Unfortunately, the guard is behind, and a great read there. Presses far slash, turning into a close slash. We'll definitely take that, but basically a read for if the opponent was gonna dash forward, it's gonna catch you. And from a 1-1 situation, I think we're gonna get a quick disconnection here. What would a Guilty Gear Strive event be without lots of grief and sorrow for TOs, as is customary for this game? Let's see if we're gonna miss one game from the gentleman here. Hopefully it ain't gonna happen too many times for the rest of the event. Usually this is like if you get the Strive Earth prompt from the server, which is like you get stuck in the windscreen, which does happen between, like, even if you don't have spectators, it's gonna happen between players quite a bit. And if that happens, that also prompts the spectators to disconnect. It's it's a little different from the problem we used to struggle with back in the day. I think this is a rather new kind of spectator disconnect. But nevertheless, it's like throughout the history of Guilty Gear Strive, there hasn't been a patch where there wasn't a lot of problems with the player rooms like this. Now, Johnny Mirror for enjoyers of a neutral game, and I guess, well, for the enjoyers of set play as well, there's a lot of things to like, because, like, I really enjoy two far-hitting characters forcing each other to stand in a particular position on the screen and be like, all right, we have the same tools, both of us hit really far, and then there's a little bit of a cat and mouse or a chess game, if you will. Who's gonna hit what button first, and who's gonna look for the whiff punish? There's definitely an interesting twist to that as well because of Johnny's forward dash. With the newest installment, I guess Square is also the player who takes the point here. And then let's flip this back to rematch, and we'll go from 2-1 position here. But usually, if Johnny's forward dash is concerned, the first forward dash usually not very reactable. 2 dashes in a row, though, you get into a territory where you can kind of try to react to it and press a button. But that essentially gives your like your dash forward, step dash buttons a little bit extra range, where they, you know, reach further but still can't be reacted to very feasibly. Toprak with a very early wall break here, immediately from the round start position. Square doesn't want to get trampled by the loop. Life on Square's part is a little low here, and Toprak might be able to finish with this combo. Yeah, don't even hit the 50 meter. But yeah, fact of the matter is, if the opponent does have the wall break positive bonus pressure loop, especially if they started going into the 5 heavy, 5D fully charged reaction check again, drops the combo. I wonder if that can't be a miss-in, because like if you go into the fully charged 5D, you have to consciously know that you are charging that button. Right, that was a very fast one. No, are you kidding me? Well, I guess it's gonna be one of these evenings. The servers don't want to cooperate? Well, fuck me, I guess. I guess we're eating the disconnections then. It could be... I'm seeing a little bit higher frequency of, you know, when there's a long distance connection in question, such as, well, is Russia to Turkey? I guess like is a decently large distance between. I guess the bigger question is how is the routing between these countries? But either way, usually when the distance grows large, or if the routing gets a little iffy, there's a higher chance that there is gonna be that Strive Earth moment, which will also prompt the spectators to disconnect as well. I mean, that's a fair point as well. Depends where in Russia. Both Russia and Turkey are decently large countries in terms of landmass, so we could be talking about, you know, a lot of different points on the map. I mean, hell, Russia is basically as large as Europe as a whole. So, but I mean, generally, I think we have had a lot of our competitors who are from Russia. They tend to be from, like, relatively from the western side of Russia, as you know. Did I already do this? Yeah, I already did this. Because there's a, I mean, the state of things gets a little weirder the eastern you go, or rather, I guess it's more modern in the west, and therefore more people tend to inhabit the west side of Russia as well, because it's also closer to the capital and everything. And that definitely works for us living, you know, in the western side of Europe as well. All right, here's the hoping. How many disconnection are we gonna have past this? So it looks like it was Square again who took that one. So the situation would be 3-2 at the moment. Deliver me the Johnny Mirror that was promised. So far, extremely even, and the matches can be super fast if one Johnny gains a decisive knockdown, because you know that pressure is pretty hard to deal with. And I guess Johnny players would know, or would they? How often do you play the mirror match? Ooh, there we go. That's a pretty good hit, deal into a guard crush, and can't do much there. Just gotta guess high-low, or perhaps a throw. For that guard crush completely eliminates your auto guard feature, meaning, you know, even if you are in a block stun, you're gonna have to exactly hold that down back. That reversal of my name is a little too far to reach from the round start position. And now Square with the deal once again. Ooh, interesting. Just delayed quite a bit. I wonder if that was a miss on an instant air dash or something of the sort. Toprak certainly vigilant and awake and taking advantage of the situation of the turn-up missing there. Missing with the red wild assault as well, and then immediate whiff punish, back and forth, back into the corner, but good instant air dash. Doesn't get out of the corner for free though for Toprak. Punishes the landing, drops the combo, couple of quick T-backs into an instant air dash, into throw in the corner. Now you're gonna take the guard crush loop. It's a glow slash starter. The follow-up though, missing for some reason. For players throwing the card, does it? No, it actually does not nullify the projectile. Therefore, the Johnny who throws the card first will get there first as well and lock the opponent into the animation. Toprak evens it up. Back to back, 3 games done. We are in a super even position heading into the mid, early game, mid game, end game. Can we say that there are such game states in FT7 matches? And this pressure is not looking to be ending anytime soon from Square. Here's another jump cancel into Mistfire. Ooh, we dealt and we paid the price. I mean, both players paying a price in a sense. Square, of course, paying that 50 meter, but it's gonna pay off dividends for that tension positive bonus will double up on itself. Ooh, that was cool. First drifting backwards, then still into the punish. Empty vault here. No deal this time. For usually, if you want to go into vault deal, you probably want to make sure that you have 50 meter in the bank. For otherwise, you're going to be quite minus. You can try to catch the opponent sleeping on the wheel and just do an empty vault into something like throw or pressing more buttons. Ooh, the deflect shield. Unfortunately, I guess in that kind of position, mid-screen, it doesn't do that much if you're already being pressured from a like mid-ish range, because it's really hard to make Johnny's own buttons with. Nice backdash, dances back and forth, throwing the deal into guard crush, into a throw. Is that gonna be enough? That should be enough with the wall break, right? So Square, with really nice, I think there were resets there. It's with the fast pace of the match, sometimes a little hard to see and keep up with what's going on. But Square so far has maintained a little bit of an advantage, usually being the first player to get the one-up on the opponent, so to speak. Nice jump K tag there. Of course, you know, no matter who is playing against Johnny, if it's Johnny himself or otherwise, you're gonna have to have some sort of a game, some sort of counter strategy against Vault Deal. be it like meeting the opponent Johnny in the air, or having some sort of a reversal anti-air, or magically being in the perfect position and having an anti-air that can challenge it. It's actually very, very difficult, because generally you have to be standing in a really precise position if you wanna do stuff against, you know, the meter burn. Alright, no deal this time around. Was probably hoping to utilize the tension and maybe go into like a TK Mistfinder setup. But Toprak not letting any of that happen. In fact, Toprak is gonna go into waiting for the reversal. Reversal never comes, able to pop the turn up. But now, to the guard crush. Forces gets a throw. Are you kidding me? I wonder if there was a mistake of some sort there in the middle, or maybe Johnny players just know all the dirty secrets, where the gaps are. Right into the D loop once again, tagged him with a 5D. Square was hoping to have that 50 tension there from the 5D, but unfortunately was really close to building it. So the burst will prevent the Joker trick from going through. Oh my god, look at that range. That whiff punish range is definitely something. Ooh, didn't have enough frame advantage to go into whatever Square wanted to do here. And now from the back throw, deal, evade the reversal, evade the 2D as well with the use of Johnny's super powerful backdash. And now we're checking with it again. Is this, I was about to say third time is this charm, and maybe Toprak has found the 5D combo, but no, not yet. There is, of course, if you're dropping that 5D fully charged combo, there is an option to go into a finisher immediately. So you could do something like just press the same button 3 times in a row, and you're gonna get the finishing sequence that basically puts them down, gets you positive bonus, and gets you a like semi-hard knockdown. Which is kind of the biggest reward that you're looking for, that last finisher from that fully charged 5D airborne situation. With the jump, okay. Square says no, we're not gonna take that loss on the real estate part. Let's jump over the far slash. Ooh, to the wrong side. Missed that input on the throw there, I think. Got 5D accidentally. Having to respect it, blocking normals or any kind of hits in the air in Guilty Gear Strive, of course, put you in a lot of landing recovery. War of Mistfinders, spend the meter, into a Gargash loop, yeah, spend the YRC as well. Try to make sure that you're not gonna be absorbed into that, whatchamacallit, vortex. Nice instant there, gets a punish. It's a little too high up in the air, that button, so won't be able to combo into a successful combo. Try to go for a 5D again, however, the counter throw here from Square, and now ready to spend some meter. Vault deal, PRC, the classic. The backdash caught by the heavy buttons though, and then the double air dash forward catches the backdash. That was a big commitment, basically saying, I think you're gonna try to escape with your backdash here. And why would you not? A lot of Johnny players really relying on that super strong tool. So it should be one of your top priorities to counter it as well as another Johnny player. OTG close slash into a deal. Square was able to get a... Ooh, nice. Sees the opponent in the air. No air dash out of the corner for you, at least for free. Able to activate the prop up. What is it? What's the thing called? Am I having aphasia again? Turn up, that's the one. Pop up. Goddamn. Can't they give it like some sort of super cool name? I guess it makes sense because you're like turning up the cards from your deck and stuff like that. Anyway, Toprak for the first time in this set, I think, taking the leading position as we're nearing the endgame part of the set here. If there's ever a time to gain an upper hand on your opponent, it would probably be around this point in an FT7. Nice, gets a 6P into a hard knockdown. Yeah, even if you can initially go under the Mistfinder with that 6P, it's still gonna trigger that that turn up, pop the card, and pop the massive diamond-shaped hitbox. So if you were to reversal out of those guard crush setups, you would probably have to have something that is immediately invulnerable or advances really fast and is invulnerable at the same time. Again, the jump K connects a little too high up in the air. Toprak recognizes and challenges and kills out of that suck touch as well. Is this where the momentum has decisively shifted? Toprak getting this game would be massive. Nice whiff punish there, using the Mistfinder once again. The aggressive burst, keep the opponent in the corner. No moving out, no jumping out. Attacking Toprak with the low, and then nice tech here. And Toprak with an opportunity to move things around a little. Nice reaction there, or rather, I guess that's a read. You wouldn't have reaction times to prop up the upper Mistfinder as an anti-air. You would probably have to take the stance preemptively and then, you know, release it as you see the opponent jump over you. Square again, interesting setup. We'll be able to potentially use the card for a follow-up combo, but no, the burst from Toprak, and then into the corner. Square has a lot of resources to defend here with. We're going into the YRC first. Yep, plus 10, so we can definitely do that 2K airtight. Missing the jump in, this could be crucial. Into deflect shield is a good option in that setup situation. However, Toprak does get the win and moves 2 games up. Now, this will be relatively difficult. Have to win 3 games in a row for Square in a situation where you've been toe-to-toe with the opponent all the way through the... Or wait, that's not 7 already, is it? Did I miscount? Did I miscount in such a... No way, right? Yeah, I think this is just a small breather here, as we're heading into potentially some of the last games of this first matchup of the evening.
Duel 1.
Alright, no matter who takes it, it's gonna be super important from here on out. The upper Mistfinder actually trades into it. Now Toprak spending... Ooh, interesting. Wait, I've never seen that before. So jump cancel into air backdash with the Mistfinder stance and then come down in a really interesting angle. I wonder what kind of sequences that sort of sequence is supposed to counter usually. Anyway, Square, still decent amount of resources to defend with, but Toprak's resources are gonna double up here. Immediate YRC, understandable. Spent meter to try to break that positive bonus loop, but unfortunately Square doesn't seem like they will be able to get out of there. And with that neutral jump, I think that was even a double jump, falls into the guaranteed punish of Toprak's, the far slash there. If you use any of your air options, be it just the air dash or even a double jump, you are gonna introduce a little bit of landing recovery, which can be targeted. Right here, Square pressing buttons a little bit faster. And now tagging the opponent out of the sky. That was a very nice timing on the burst, putting Toprak in the corner. Toprak, of course, doesn't want to stay there, tries to charge the 5D again, a little bit too far. But we don't necessarily need that fully charged 5D. We've missed it so many times, but Toprak has shown that they have other tools in the sleeve. Maybe an ace card. Is that the card? That card definitely was not the ace. So Square has an opportunity to run it back here, spend the meter, force another guard crush. No, the turn up didn't trigger. We're still too far away. Still, Toprak is in the corner. Nice confirm. Yep, take it nice and easy. That's not gonna kill. Never mind, that is gonna kill. Square survives to fight at least another round. Now the last round here with rather even burst resources, both players with 1 stock of Wild Assault if they so desire. Yep, spend it right away. Try to go for the 5D again, not this time. Actually, it wasn't even Toprak who was trying to go in for this time, it was Square, right? Missing the combo still, happy little accidents, we're gonna break here. Relatively even Steven situation. But Toprak has the positive bonus here. Hitting stuff on block on your opponent would be really great here. Close slash catches the backdash. Oh my god, was able to jump out of the Mistfinder. And again, the jump kick is a little too high up in the air. So Toprak able to press buttons again. The Ensenga whiffs as well. So many things whiffing. How is it possible for a character who has this much reach? That preemptive 2D prevents the assault from going in. I guess Square was trying to counter like respect here, no buttons being pressed kind of an option, or a backdash with that wild assault. Alas, Toprak was pressing buttons, which will be faster than doing your wild assault. From a 4-4 situation, Toprak turning on the heat and decisively taking it afterwards. 4-7, pretty good. That's definitely a good warm-up match for the evening. We definitely needed a little bit warm-up for this one, especially if you are an enjoyer of the Finnish fighting game community, lore, talent, or otherwise. This is gonna be an interesting match here coming up next. ZoKHiZ and ULTINEET. Of course, ZoKHiZ is the grandfather, big body Potemkin player from, I wanted to say centuries ago, but not quite, decades ago. Played Plasar, played Exert, has always been the resident Potemkin player. ULTINEET, a little bit more new face to the scene, in the sense that ULTINEET joined at the, I guess towards the like tail end of Exert's era, or lifespan. And of course has been around all the time for the duration of Guilty Gear Strive, and the amount of grind that ULTINEET has put into this character has solidified her as one of the contenders, definitely, to get into top 8s in super stacked Finnish tournaments. And that is definitely not an easy feat to achieve, for we have a shit ton of like very competent players in our humble little community. But now ZoKHiZ started Strive with Potemkin, straight away from Potemkin for a very long time. Has been a Nago player, has been a Leo player, has been an Alska player, has been many things, but now we are back in the business. Looks like ZoKHiZ has some sort of problems here. Maybe wrong buttons? Yeah, got it. So the buttons are completely scrambled. We could do a redo. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do a redo.
Danger. Negative penalty.
Yeah, it does happen sometimes. Of course, if it was a tournament game, you know, your precious little game would be gone. But since it's a little more casual kind of competitive action here, we are playing with the whatchamacallit, gentleman's rules. So we're of course gonna give ZoKHiZ an opportunity to get the buttons back as they are supposed to be. That's really interesting. So the problems that ZoKHiZ had is that the D-pad has all the buttons. How does that even happen? What kind of a glitch do you have that your buttons are mapped to your D-pad on? I don't even know. That's really funny. That's the first time I've ever heard that happening as well. Anyway, I guess we get to talk more history here. But yeah, it's been a long time coming, but ZoKHiZ is back on that Potemkin after the advent of all the Potemkin changes around the turning point of Season 3 to Season 4. I guess the primary thing that ZoKHiZ really liked about the new changes was that the kara cancels on Potemkin were gone. And it was like, hell yeah, I didn't like those anyway. So now that Potemkin is relatively strong without the kara cancels, I'm gonna play. So it was like, slightly ironically, it was actually a downside for ZoKHiZ for the kara cancels to come back. But hey, we're doing what we can. We're playing what we can. We're playing the character that we love from ages past to get into a bite. Well, they're just gonna have a lot of juice to play with here. Going to another bite, and then yeah, there are just so many things that you could do here with a completely empty, clean blood bar. Starting with a 5k, and ZoKHiZ finding a buster from a really, really far range. That's half of your life, even on Nago. There was only 1 bar of blood. And this is Potemkin. This patch, use the what's that called? Gigantor. And that's gonna be a kill just like that. How many seconds? 12? Yeah, it's kind of like how it's gonna be if Potemkin gets things started. Whereas I guess it can be like that for Nagoriyuki as well, but considering the type of player that ULTINEET is a little bit more of the patient school of Nagoriyuki's. So completely fine playing. Ooh, we'll be able to mount 2 hits there. So the armor frames will do nothing here. ULTINEET will swipe, press all the right buttons. And like the dichotomy of the rounds here, ULTINEET first round starts with just full-on aggression. ZoKHiZ won't be able to do absolutely anything. Then on the second round, ZoKHiZ wins 1 interaction and wins the game immediately. And then we have a lot of like careful neutraling in the round number 3. That's already gonna like put on the table what kind of variation there is gonna be to this matchup. It's a 6p a little bit too early. ZoKHiZ gets in. Won't be able to bait the burst. Power through with the use of armor. Misses the combo, but we're still in a pretty decent position. Tapped them with a 5D. Was probably hoping that ULTINEET would go down with only a tap. But alas, still should be favored to win this. Or ULTINEET has a chance here. Half a blood bar, but not a whole lot of resources. Converting into a wall break. Ooh, that ancient problem, I think. I guess that's one of the spots where you would have to do like a Kara 6 heavy to be able to reach. That's a very, as far as I can remember, that's a very common problem that happens on the screen when you're at that like massive distance as Nagoriyuki. It's a close slash, so decent chunk of damage. You're gonna have to guess here. This is one of the tough situations. Guard crush, Kara buster into a kill. Yes, indeed. The initial reads after round start are gonna be absolutely massive, especially when ZoKHiZ gets the best of those guesses.
Mankind knew that they cannot. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Of course, ZoKHiZ definitely knows the game plan where you guess right once and you put opponent into a very nasty guessing not really a vortex, but in a nasty 50-50 kind of situation where if you guess wrong, you're gonna be absolutely decimated. Ooh, the flick! The new flick with a massive hitbox! We'll be able to tag ULTINEET initially, but then we're striking back 2k. Last time we went for the bite, this time we go for the frame trap, and then Fukyo backwards into 6 heavy, massive disjoints. There's probably no challenging that kind of sequences. Spend the resources, keep the pressure going. Plus 10 from the guard cross, nice jump forward, and we'll be able to get a punish as well. So because Nagoriyuki does not have a normal instant air dash, which you would usually use on pretty much any other character to punish the slight head, you're gonna have to go for like slightly harder reach, such as like forward jump into land into buttons maybe. Ooh, nice! Completely dashed around the hitbox of the flick initially, but now this is where it could start. ZoKHiZ is very close to the 50 meter, and Potemkin, historically very powerful with that meter. Now with that new Blue Wild Assault, won't be able to catch the backdash from ULTINEET, and a big close slash, however, drops the combo. Probably didn't trust in the hit. Drifting forward, pressure is still on. We come down with the jump D, and a big counter. That's gonna be a kill, right? I've seen ZoKHiZ do this. Oh my god, both players missing a throw, and then into another bite. This is a grappling contest. ULTINEET surprising ZoKHiZ with a command grab of her own. I was about to say, I've seen so many combo videos and Twitter posts from ZoKHiZ with those 2 heavy, like combos that have a lot of 2 heavies, and from that high anti-air 2 heavy counter hit. There probably was a kill, right? Are we good? Are the kittens okay? Is the phone ringing? We seem to be fine for now, and then it commences. From an ULTINEET 2-1 lead. We're barely missing that 6 heavy. Of course, it's very spacing dependent kind of sequence, how close you start to your opponent and how long you choose to sort of delay your buttons between those Fukios. The Fukio is basically the lifeblood of Nagoriyuki for how you can move forward and how you can move backwards. Basically your forward and backdash. Yep, we're spending the first 50 meter for... Oh, 6P, that 6 heavy, huh? Nevertheless, ZoKHiZ is not giving up the pressure position. We have 100 meter on Nagoriyuki. We can RC, which Ultimate will have to do here in order to... Oh my god, was trying to Fukio backwards, but I guess because they were so close to the corner, there was nowhere to Fukio back into. Or perhaps there was a cancel into a button that halted the Fukio momentum. Unsure, but ZoKHiZ was able to grab Ultimate out of that. Interesting. Anti-air... Beyblade. Trade with the far slash, however, ZoKHiZ forcing the situation. There was actually a button, no block. Massive damage coming through, and now ZoKHiZ, with a hard knockdown, will be able to get to the positive bonus situation. Yeah, Ultimate is trying to put... Oh my god, that's gonna be a checkmate, right? It's still going. Ultimate will have to block so many high lows. The mix-up is low with the 2D, and ZoKHiZ evens it up 2-2. That is actually nasty. When you have like a reach situation, when you got your opponent so low health that you can casually just spend 100 meter on 2 Gigantors, that feels really bad. You're gonna have to defend for such a long time as Potemkin's opponent. Tried to go for a reaction anti-air there, but Nagoriyuki is one of those characters who has slightly lower than average anti-air timings. The 6P is a little slow, the 2 heavy is also a little bit slow, and air throws were a little bit slow as well because you have a slow jump startup. Finding far slash, very standard stuff, draining a lot of blood back, which we will be able to pour into this follow-up pressure situation. Now, this is probably where Ultimate is the most comfortable in this kind of like relatively high blood neutral situation. Oh, that was literally 1 blood away from popping! Ultimate doing the math, I guess. Good deflect shield as one should. In this kind of situation, there's no better way of burning that meter or spending that meter optimally rather than going for just 50 bursts. Deflect shield, push a bottom Potemkin away from that Garuda range. Ooh, nice Fukio backwards. We'll be able to avoid the Karabuster round start. Trying to jump out. It's not only Nagoriyuki who has a slow jump startup, it is also the grappling man himself, Potemkin. So jumping out of some of these full screen neutral pokes can be a little tricky. Attacking with the 2K, that's a very long range hit though, so no conversion. 6-speed, there we go. This could be a full burn. We'll at least go for the super. This will bring a lot of blood back. I think it's really close. Potemkin should be alive, right? Yeah, just barely. Literally 1 hit point. Even after that 100 meter burn. Is Ultimate in trouble here? Still has a lot of blood open. Trying to catch the jumping pressure of ZoKHiZ. There we go. Fukio back, far slash. One of the furthest reaching far slashes in the game, but also one of the slowest. We'll be able to catch ZoKHiZ. It is a really nice backdash catcher if nothing else. For it reaches so far away. Even if there's like a couple of character lengths between you and your opponent, the far slash still tends to catch. Nice, we'll be able to cancel into the super, or sorry, the next special move fast enough to break the armor. Misses the command grab, and now ZoKHiZ in the... Oh, but they didn't look! ZoKHiZ didn't look! Right, full blood, goes into a DP immediately. Side switch, we got the combos, are we gonna pop again? No, not quite, the 6 heavy is gonna drain a lot of blood back. So we'll go into level 3 gaming. Immediate armor move, though this time not, Ultimate won't be able to have time to produce enough hits to break the armor. However, this should be it. Don't drop it. Get the ball break. Bam, yeah. So optimal break would be 6 heavy, but you also have to be optimal on the execution. So really nice optimization there from Ultimate, just using a light button instead. Now Buster starts off the fun. Framed up into 2S, however, the follow-up combo was nowhere to be found. Nice 6B. I guess that was a 5B initially that got ULTINEET out of that. That was a big commit. ULTINEET would have popped out of that, but because of the fast pace of the match, ZoKHiZ wasn't quite able to keep up. Of course, ZoKHiZ does know how this character functions perfectly. He is a user of Nagoriyuki in the past as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're immune to some of these sequences, some of these shenanigans, some of these guessing situations. Speaking of guessing, is something that ULTINEET didn't want to do there, using the YRC out. Is it a kill? No, drops the combo, but the 6 heavy. Speaking of those buttons that can catch backdashes, Nagoriyuki's far slice, but also 6 heavy from Potemkin. Oh, nice whiff punish on the whiff Garuda was that. Into cute jump D, delaying your momentum just a little if the opponent tries to maybe a fuzzy throw or something like that. Ooh, was perfect. Super should do the deed here. ULTINEET playing very patiently, waiting for the potential bursts, and the burst indeed does come out. It would be basically checkmate. If you don't burst here, even if this doesn't kill, you go through the wall with the super. ULTINEET will be able to start her positive bonus loop. You're probably not gonna wake from that. Therefore, you have to break the sequence right here before the glass gets broken. The 5K once again, eventually or initially preventing ZoKHiZ from going airborne. You're in a guessing situation now. Gets the hit. Decent amount of damage. In the true grappler fashion, though, you usually land way more damage from your throw option, which also means the opponent is gonna take the strike option a little more often than maybe against other characters. I think, is this meaty enough? No. I'm not actually sure what the recovery amount of frames is on Garuda, or if you can actually use that as a completely reversal safe meaty, but the matter is, ULTINEET gets out of there. Decent amount of blood open. Spent 1 bar. Spent the meter as well, trying to force the situation, trying to prevent ZoKHiZ from playing the game. We are at level 3. Ooh, interesting. Instead of hanging at the mid screen, ooh, that was a nice idea. Tried to drift forward, buy herself a little bit of time to get another strike in there. Gold burst. Ooh, missed the DP. Don't go for the second one. Go for a Beyblade instead. And I betcha ZoKHiZ was waiting for the second part, the overhead part of that DP. That was really cute. And there's the overhead part, which is usually going to be the layer 1 of the I don't want to say mix-up game, for it's, you know, not really like that, but, you know, it is guessing game of some sort. Ooh, try to go for a re-hop here. Gold burst this time for ZoKHiZ. Ooh, that's going to be a lot of meter. Combo into, this will hurt, and this will not get the corner. Oh, that's going to be a pop. Yep. Even if this doesn't kill, it's basically maximum damage that you could ever do on Nagoriyuki, and she's gonna pop afterwards as well. Nice, the cancel into Beyblade. Comes out fast enough to break the armor, and now, wait, the timing there. The timing, the clone just went out of the screen. And now ZoKHiZ has been able to break out, spending a little bit of blood. Spending the meter, both players spending the meter, and the close slash starter. You won't be able to get like much here because you don't have tension, you don't have blood either. But now we have the blood from that blood-sucking universe. We could burn. We choose to burn. The delayed overhead. Oh, look at that! Look at the blood meter. She was about to pop, but was able to pressure, make ZoKHiZ feel threatened enough to try to struggle out of that situation. Usually when you know that the Nagoriyuki is gonna pop, there isn't really like much that, like, I guess if you're low health, then sure, you are in a certain kind of dangerous situation. But usually it's not feasible to fix it anymore. Like, getting the blood-sucking universe is theoretically impossible. But of course, if you're in a samurai, ooh, hold that thought. Combos? Alright, 2 hits, but a lot of damage. Another 2-hitter. Deflect Shield once again being the go-to option for defending against Garuda Oki. Beautiful. That meager expenditure of 50 burst. Ooh, Yeah, not gonna. I mean, not that bad because I think ZoKHiZ missed the charge on Hammerfall there. Tried to mash into the armored buster, the new addition to this grappler's kit. Nasty stuff. Gotta be very careful with that punch with the 5k. What kind of combo are we gonna do? Full screen corner carry, not quite popping. Fairly economic, I would say. And lots of blood coming back afterwards as well. So now ULTINEET has a lot of explosive power. RC as well, however, it was a little too late. ZoKHiZ ends up in the left side. Are you kidding me? Stealing the corner and then into the buster. But now we are back at neutral. And perhaps this is ULTINEET advantage. Full blood available. Burst is available as well. But one thing that is not going in ULTINEET's favor is this score situation. Block the DP and then get the buster. ZoKHiZ is gonna mount a chase here. Was looking a little dangerous here for a moment. 5-2, but ZoKHiZ making it 5-3 instead. And of course, being an OG player, being a player capable of, you know, watching what the opponent is doing, especially knowing what the opponent could do, I could see ZoKHiZ making adjustments here that will make it possible for him to run it back. Ooh, no meter burn. Was probably expecting ULTINEET to respect that meter burn prospect. With the basic back Fukyo pressure. ZoKHiZ challenges, pounces forward. That's usually one of the sequences that you can abuse the backwards Fukyo if your opponent is not looking to do like an immediate cancel out of the Fukyo into a button. You can try to challenge with your forward moving things, such as the armored Hammerfall. ULTINEET wants to play still here, very close to that 50 meter. Won't be able to get another hit out before the armor comes out. And the YRC is just a little too far, or actually, that was not even a little too far, that was way too far. Of course, YRC is hard-coded so that the extended hurt boxes don't mean anything. It just checks your proximity with the opponent. So if you're far away, it will never connect, even if the opponent extends themselves into you. 2S5 heavy punish here. Nearing high blood, although these heavy swipes are gonna deal great, or rather suck great amount of blood back here. ZoKHiZ likes this re-jump pressure quite a bit. So far, ULTINEET hasn't been able to challenge it too much when ZoKHiZ gets close. Spend the meter here. ZoKHiZ very close to that 50 meter, going to the buster. One more guess. Potentially, if it's a buster, is that gonna be enough? Going to, this is a corner combo, yeah, that should be enough. One of the few conditions for Potemkin to actually deal decent damage out of strikes. Close slash when you have 50 meter available for that Gigantor. Otherwise, yeah, mid-screen and without meter, your combos are often gonna be quite underwhelming compared to the damage that you could deal instead with the buster. Look at that! The reach of that too heavy. ZoKHiZ must have pressed something there. And now trying to hold the corner, however, the armor move. The nasty thing is that 5 heavy, which is the go-to. Oh no! Deflect Shield straight into YRC. I think ULTINEET thought that the Deflect Shield wasn't gonna work out at all. And ZoKHiZ ended up a little too close. Went for a YRC immediately, or perhaps just a misinput. We shall never know. Resetting into the +10 from the slight head. And now ZoKHiZ, that was a very delayed buster, especially with the Hammerfall break. Another buster should be the kill, right? No, not quite yet. Misses up the combo as well. Turning up the heat, counter hit with the DP. That's a good start. We're gonna pop right, making sure that it happens successfully. And we're gonna break here. Now, what this achieves, you do get your blood back here, but oh no. I think I saw ULTINEET trying to break an air throw here. So, a very common guessing situation. If you get slowed down in the air above your opponent, there is a reasonable chance that they might try to just air throw you out of that sequence, in which case you have no choice but to try to break that prematurely. You can't really see what's going on. So it is that kind of guessing situation. Cheeks is what starts here, and then the reach on pressure going into... yeah. Probably good burst here that would have led into a lot of pain and tears. With a perfectly timed backwards Fukyo Fire Slash, we'll be able to break the initial... Ooh, good jump out of the throw. Reaching the 50-meter threshold as well. Both players rather even there, picking up the combo. Unfortunate side swap, but, you know, we're gonna have to deal with it. And ZoKHiZ is nearing that 100-meter threshold. At this point, I would bet all in on Potemkin. In this kind of resource situation, there is no way I'm ever gonna bet against Potemkin, right? Burn it. And yeah, again, the same RPS. Maybe expecting ULTINEET to think that there will be an air throw, but instead waiting, abiding his time, and then throw punishing with a buster on the landing. Ooh, that's gonna be a... Speaking of the punish, nice, we get the side switch as well. And what now? In this kind of situation, ULTINEET has struggled a little because of that armor move, that armored sleight head, which does technically counter the high block zoning or corner boxing a little bit. Speaking of corner, once again, deflect shield tries to push ZoKHiZ away. Nice read on the burst. Sorry, the throw. And again, that should be enough. Yes, indeed, we have blood to burn. They are relatively dead even here. Virtually dead even. 5-5. The only advantage going for ULTINEET here is the little bit of burst resources that she has saved up. But now we'll have to guess, and guess it's right again. That was like third or fourth guess in a row, right on the buster. And now there was a backdash. So ZoKHiZ will be able to catch that, but won't be able to cash into a big combo out of it. However, I mean, drop for a drop, I guess. Sees the 5 heavy coming out, chooses to go with the 5B. However, got a buster straight from the wake up. So much blood. What can we do? You're locked out here. Oh, the cold burst. She's gonna be pushed into the armor. The last touches of the shield or the mirror. Very little blood to spend. Tried to fix it by going into blood-sucking universe. No blood whatsoever to burn here. I think I heard White Wild Assault sound here, which was the last desperate effort to try to get something done out of this corner. Alas, ZoKHiz's strike was perfectly placed on point, preventing that from going online. So now, from that advantage situation that ULTINEET had early into the set, completely evaporated, and now ULTINEET will have to go through 2 in a row to beat the OG, the grandfather, Potemkin himself. If ULTINEET could do it, that would actually be quite pog, if I say so myself. Now with the re-hop pressure once again, finding the buster. Your life is running out, what are we gonna do? That's a good read. That's like, what, 5th read in a row? I mean, technically you didn't read a buster here, you basically read that the opponent is gonna press anything, but it still counts. Big 5 heavy into. We could have a potential chip damage situation here, although ULTINEET's blood has been run out. I mean, you could... There are many different ways to try to force the chip situation. Drifting forward, sees the burst. However, the timing does not align for ULTINEET. She had to win if she doesn't pop here, but alas, so close, so damn close. And once again, the Beyblade a little too late cancel here. ZoKHiz's armor move will go online just in the nick of time. However, side switch out of the corner. This will be one of the last chances for ULTINEET to strike, and she has to strike very true here. Maybe strike many times over for not one strike is not enough to break the armor. Low blood here. Oh my god, ZoKHiZ would check. Goes for, oh, that was a cool looking combo here. Side swapping. 50 meter on board, we're gonna spend it. Checkmate here, what's your option? Tries to go for the throw between the hits. However, ZoKHiZ misses it. That was a good attempt, because there is burstis. Nowhere to be found. Yeah, patience from ZoKHiZ. There, you can set the Gigantor up in such a way that there is a throw available between those hits, but that time ZoKHiZ didn't quite get it. Now from a big 2 heavy, Fukyo forward, being very, very careful, staying outside of that buster range. Another back Fukyo. Yep, stay away from that nasty, nasty grappler stuff. Again, 5 heavies, Bane, the armored sleight head. Here comes ZoKHiZ. Do we have the kill? Spend it all. Nagoriyuki is on high block. That's all. Oh my god! But the bird of the wall break comes out a little too early, and there is no defending against the iron, the iron freight train. The Potemkin master from decades away, ZoKHiZ, looking like in a complete nasty help me kind of a situation. ULTINEET was like how many? 3 or 4 points up on ZoKHiZ, but then the momentum reversal and ZoKHiZ able to fight himself out of the sticky situation, still make it competitive and more. But really, really close game here. I mean, you have to be excited for ULTINEET in this kind of matches because it's the old guard, the sort of the grandmaster players that you would usually expect to win, versus the new blood represented by ULTINEET, the pure grind that you've put in on the modern version of the game. Really cool match still. Oof. All right, we do have 3 Sin games lined up for tonight. First one of them being Leif. And the 2 others, I think it's still up in the air what Civ is gonna play. I think she wanted to initially play Sin, but we know for sure that Rygand at least is gonna be playing Sin tonight as well. Now, first of the Sin matchups will be Elfelt Sin. SavesHaven first match on Bounty Hunters. And I really I kind of like this matchup a lot from both characters' perspectives. The problem for Elfelt is that your buttons are a little... You would think you have like even buttons with Sin. They look kind of similar range and they fulfill kind of same-ish functions. You would initially think, but Sin has just a little bit more range, a little bit more disjoint. So Elfelt has to use her mobility in this neutral game to her advantage if you want to swing the scales. I mean, at least if playing neutral is your is on your schedule. Of course, you could try to approach it from a different kind of angle. Just accept that I'm never gonna beat Sin at neutral. And just try to bully your way in, and then when you do get there, try to use the nasty mix-up capabilities of Elfelt. One tricky thing is that Sin is a DP character and arguably maybe the best or second best DP user. And Elfelt's Rekka pressure is a little vulnerable against super good DPs, so there is never really free entry into the Rekka. No matter what you press as Elfelt, there is always going to be at least 1 frame of a gap when you try to enter the Rekka sequence. So even if you go for your highest attack level moves, such as 5 heavy into Rekka or 6 heavy into Rekka, there is that 1 fateful frame of gap that Sin can DP through. If you want to gamble like that. Not everybody does, but I mean, it's... Nobody wants to... I'm gonna say it right here. Nobody wants to block Rekka pressure. That stuff is nasty. So you want to do everything you can, everything in your power to try to prevent it from happening.
They cannot change society. So instead of reflecting on themselves, blame the beasts, heaven or hell.
All right, so Leif, definitely one of the regular sins of bounty hunters. All sorts of results. Very what's the word I'm looking for? Characteristic games when Leif is on the board. Starting with able to block the initial Rekka sequence successfully. Tried to go for a micro dash into 2S. However, Saves having the same kind of idea here. Missing the Rekka combo. Oh my god, the tail end of the L-count actually getting the hit, and then into a wall break. This is basically the bread and butter of Sin. No matter what hit you get, as long as you have 2 stamina, it's gonna be a wall break. TB is massive amount of damage when you are already in the corner or are kind of like in the mid-ish screen, and then RTL will cover every single other angle. If you're in the other side of the round, doesn't matter, RTL will get you there at the end of the combo. Now, half of life's gone here. Good combo from Saves. Yeah, that's exactly kind of showcase of how you can try to play it. You can try to be very tricky and not really challenge Sin on the ground. Play stuff like grenades, for example, in strategical places in order to try to avoid playing as much ground as you can against this neutral menace. Elkhunt reaches once again, however, running out of stamina in the middle of that conversion. Nice wall break, perfectly timed, everything. You spends to get the wall break, but now Saves with 100 meter. How are we gonna defend here? YRC is how we start. Not going into the Rekka. I think respecting the prospect that Sin could actually DP there. So your only option is to either not cancel into anything or I think cancel into Fireball. That's one of the new changes in season... Was it season 3 already? Either way, one of the more recent changes that you can make your pressure a little bit more safe against DPs if you cancel into her Fireball that now does not extend her hurt box as much. Big counter hit. Let's see the corner carry. All right, playing it pretty economic and doesn't spend the juice just yet. But we're definitely gonna be spending the 2 stamina and the 50 for Sin, for that will evaporate half of your life. And finds a hit here. Yep, the burst comes in. We have the punish and should have the TP as well if so desired. Leif takes the first game here. And if these 2 stamina confirms are, you know, consistent today for Leif, I'm gonna say this is gonna be massive Sin advantage. I think one of the most common problems that Leif tends to be struggling with in these show match events is the hands are shaking a little and the combo execution can be sometimes a little bit iffy. We're usually starting with pretty good accurate comboing, and then towards the end of the set when things are getting really tight, we see a little bit of a decrease in the accuracy of the combos. Ooh, going for this Oki instead. The miss shot and then comes back to heavy successfully into the basic combo, into a safe jump, and then, yep, the very basic stuff that you can. From those grenade resets, you do have safe jump options. I actually forgot how they've changed because her combo structure and her frame data of especially the grenade has changed quite a bit since vanilla. So actually unsure how like resets such as the grenade interact with Sin's DP nowadays. Ooh, was kind of looking like that was gonna be a cross-up, but landed still in the front. Now Leif bounces forward with that L-count. And a good reversal super will get Sin off of her. Actually chooses to spend everything. Is that a kill? Leif certainly thought so. So spending the burst here. Oh, the red wireless goes active just before L-count. I think one of the only downsides of L-count is that it is a little bit slow. It is like kind of a homing move sort of ish where it doesn't like it kind of tries to find its opponent and it doesn't really activate prematurely. It's gonna go through the whole sequence before activating, so it's rather reactable. Even like the most common showcase is that even in pressure when you're in point blank, you can have a reaction throw against that if you're specifically looking for it. Through the wall we go. 100 meter for Saves again. Waiting for it with a stagger pressure. Ooh, this is tough. Have to spend meter in order to drift out of there. And now, flipping the position. Oh, flipping yourself back into the corner. Saves finds a really good 5 heavy though. Spend the meter. Mix them up with a grenade. Didn't quite get the timing that Leif probably wanted. Wanted to burst Saves into the corner. We are still working with a little bit of a life advantage. And then, because of the guard crush, also improved factor of chip damage for ZoKHiZ. Nice, sees the grenade coming from very far away, and unless you are below your opponent like this, grounded anti-air still can work. But in this super close position, not usually. Usually we'd have to go air to air. Wow, again, just holding the low block, and then the DP. Exactly the kind of gameplay that you want to represent as Sin against Elfelt. 1 hit 5 heavy into overhead, and then reset into a throw, and another one. One more close, that should be it. There we go, rings as a counter hit even. And it flows so well when Leif gets there. Even when you run out of the stamina, I would say generally Sin is probably one of the stickiest characters to get rid of as far as just basic close slash strike throw pressure is concerned. But even if you don't have the stamina, you can stick to your opponent for a very, very long time. Sin has, I would say, above average close slash, and then really good options to reset out of it as well. With his 6K and, you know, good stagger buttons. And good rewards in the corner as well, even if you don't have stamina to spend. Now, here it starts. Ooh, misses the timing on the perfect meaty. So SavesHaven will be able to throw into a wall break. But now, even though the life situation has been equalized, Leif is still working with a superior amount of, was that 100? We got 100 here. Are we going for it? Yes, indeed. Okay, so there's a couple of different setups that you could do. You could do what Leif just did and just forget about the execution part. Just go 1, 2, and then prematurely into the 4th hit, which will cause a little bit of extra damage. But you could also set up all the 3 hits by bouncing your opponent back and forth, and then getting also the 4th hit, which is one of the reasons why that 100-meter RTL is so powerful in Season 4. That blocks both overhits correctly. But at the throw afterwards, low stamina situation, so you're basically locked into your stagger slash strike throw pressure. Of course, Sin is usually ooh, what was that catch? Looked very, very tough to confirm. From a Rekka 1 into a throw, that's only -1 or -2 as far as I can remember. And with the threat of more Rekka cancels, it is a hard sell for many characters or many players to try to press anything after the S Rekka, the Rekka 1 from Elfelt. Nice whiff punish, look at that! That is a thing of beauty. You don't often see Elfelt players with, you know, with this great of a whiff punishing ability. Standing in the perfect place to try to bait out the elk hunts. And now, into the pressure, yep. Reads the entry into the Rekka, goes into the super. Is there a button coming out? Yes, indeed. So saves, resetting or reversing out of the situation perfectly. 2 with 5 Bs to set up the meaty elk. And now what? Ooh, that was a very far range elk hit into. Waits a little bit there. 2S into a nice corner conversion. Leif looking to be on fire tonight. I mean, both players have been super on fire when they actually get into their offensive positions. But again, the offensive positions for Elfelt and SavesHaven have been, like, it's really hard to get there. Because, again, Sin DP, we see it time and time again. Saves connects to buttons like 2 heavy, 5 heavy. Like even, I guess he hasn't been using 6 heavy that much, but if he was to, like all of those are not free Rekka entries by any measure against Sin. Right, we got the wall break. And now a couple of different options that Leif could take. Takes the defensive position instead. So waiting for the stamina to come back instead of just trying to push it. I like this kind of this binary kind of shifting of states on Sin, where when you have 2 stamina, the world is yours. But even if you don't, even if you have like 0 or 1 stamina, you could turn your other resources, your wild assaults, your tension burns, your RCs into more pressure if you really want to press it and try to delay time. Delay for time during your own pressure sequence so that you're... Oh, that's gonna be a big one. Yep, worth a burst. That was gonna be basically a kill. Had 100 RTL in the bank as well. The RC a little bit too far. Tried to run out of the grenade, but initially getting caught. And then the combo. That was a really good position, like cool position here. So I'm unsure if Leif actually tried to backdash there, but there was basically, during that RC slowdown, took a small micro dash into the grenade, blocked the grenade, and then Saves had a lot of momentum going forward, so plummeted completely over Sin into the corner, giving basically Leif like a pressure position here. Press buttons and, you know, start your stuff. Right, first the DP bait here. I think that's one of the things that Saves will probably have to capitalize on a little bit more. Trying to bait those DPs on the Rekka entry RPS. But will we be able to do it? That is the question. I think a lot of Elfolks are definitely struggling with that part of the game plan, especially since the fireball cancel to be safe is such a new thing as well. So not everybody might have that on their muscle memory and in their active kits. Right, with an instant air dash forward, we have 2 stamina expenditure. Maintaining the 1 stamina, the aggressive 2 heavy out of the corner. Decent combo. Life situation is quite equalized. Going for the economic route, missing the close slash, the far slash activates instead, making the combo drop. But now we have good prospects here. 3 stamina, we can do a lot of damage, even if we don't have any other resources. It's often you need only one of them. I mean, you would often love to have the stamina, for the 2 stamina burn is probably your highest damage route, which will usually be like half of the opponent's life. But I mean, you can spend other resources as well and get like 70% of the maximum damage out of that. Momentum burst into the corner. Life will not be contained. Do the DP again. 5p, 5p into a frame trap. Good 6p into, yeah, this is gonna be a nice corner carry. Drops the combo though. Saves has had a little bit of a trouble with some of the like biggest starters in this set so far. But cashing out pretty decently here when it counts. Here comes the stamina burning though. Saves the last stamina. Ooh, nice tricky grenade out of the corner. We've seen that more and more recently, especially like since we have Ruby Elfolk also on Bounty Hunter's roster, who really loves that grenade. And if you seize your pressure for, I forget how many frames it takes to go airborne, but if you seize your pressure for a certain amount of frames, it sure is possible for the Elfolk player to try to hop out of there using that Pineberry. Like that's 5k, misses it on the opponent's backwalk. Ooh, still able to catch the backdash of Sins and then switch positions as well. Yeah, the DP is the answer. The Old Faithful, one of the best. Couple of beak drivers tried to bait them forward, then into the elk hunt. Ooh, that was a really nice RPS there, delaying a little, waiting for the opponent potentially from Life. No DP, no aggressive options. But now Life will get the wall break. Very low stamina, so once again, opportunity here to play defensive, and defensive option number 1, air backdash jump heavy. Try to approach that as pretty much any character. It is really hard. This is kind of one of the reasons why Sin players will be kind of okay going into the 0 stamina and burning everything. You have buttons such as 2S. You have sequences just such as instant air backdash jump heavy that can defend the space ahead of you really effectively. Try to waste time, try to stall for the stamina, and then when you get to the 2 stamina, then we go again. Or we spend the tension like this and keep going, even if we have low stamina. That was a nice 2p into. Oh, got them low! So that's gonna be a full combo. Wall stick and everything. Usually when you start your combo with the 2 heavy, there isn't really a wall break unless you already have damage on the wall, which is what Life did have there. Now, big opportunity for saves. We're gonna have to make this count. We're gonna have to make these offensive situations yield much more than we have in the earlier set. Ooh, Street Fighter? Third strike, y'all! From 1 hit confirm into the super, burning even more. Would Life burst here? No, I think Life was basically realized that there is not gonna be a kill, and also I am sitting on a round lead, so there is no hurry for me to try the reversal of the situation. Just go next round, it's gonna be better. Round 5 heavy into Wild Assault, more pressure. Once a good 2P, and then that was a greatly spaced Bridal Express. Wasn't 2-, I think. But here comes Leif, spending once again on the Hoof RC, and then the Wild Assault, guaranteeing the wall break. And now positive bonus, and yeah, looking for the air approach here. But since the opponent is below you, the grounded normals, the grounded anti-airs, as good as they are, even on scene. Here we go, saves with the bomb belt, 100 meter on Leif. Tried to go for, I wonder what, maybe RTL there? That prompted the 6 heavy to come out. But the fact of the matter is, it's so hard to defend against Elfeld in that bomb belt situation. When you get the hard knockdown using that super. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what the best option is there. Pray for gods above. Hope that the opponent makes a mistake. Guess right on the high-low. I guess that's probably the best option. Ooh, that was kind of cool. Able to bait, outsmart the DP, the massive DP hitbox of ZoKHiZ. There we go, that's a clean hit as well, so maximum amount of damage will be scored by Leif. And then, using those plus frame moves to stall for time, we got the 50 meter. That means Hoof RC is available, and that sure as hell seems like a kill to me. So Leif is on the first set point position here. Definitely not impossible for saves, but Leif has been so consistent tonight. Maybe the most consistent I've ever seen him. Oh, that's a big counter hit. Yeah, well, tried to go for the live signature combo as well, which is going into an airborne air juggle. Ooh, missed the clean hit just by a smidge here. So Saves has a chance to bring it back. Life situation even. Do we get the punish? That is a far slash punish, so a little less than we could have gotten, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna end it in bomb belt anyway. So now 50 meter. How are we defending? Backdash. Have to respect it in the end. I mean, that wasn't too bad, honestly, for the kind of situation it was. Do we have it? We have the resources to convert from the house screen to stamina, baby! And that means Leif is gonna take set 7-2. The 2 stamina champion. You have it. Oh, baby. The world feels like a completely different place. And your buttons are gonna confirm into so much damage. Leif, I think not dropping. I can't remember a single combo that Leif dropped here. That was a very, very consistent performance. Definitely the best I've seen from Leif so far, but also definitely good attempt from Saves as well. And welcome to Bounty Hunters. Hope we can see more of Saves Alpha later as well. Alpha is a really cool character for sure. Would love to see more of her in the future. You know what I would like to also see? More Venom. But there's absolutely no Venom on the schedule tonight. Yeah, look at that. Second week after Venom release, no Venoms to be seen. What happened? I mean, that's kind of like an unfair thing to say, because there is certain kind of DLC. How should I put this? There is kind of like a cycle for Arx's DLC characters in Strive. And Venom especially, since Venom represents one of those super difficult technical characters. Of course, you have a lot of interest in the character in the initial weeks, then it's gonna sort of quiet down. Players who actually want to play Venom are gonna stick with him, and then eventually people find enough junk, enough tech to play with, and then the first the first patch after the DLC release, that's when it really starts to pick up. You get your first quality of life changes, you get your first DLC buffs. That's probably the next point we're gonna see Venom being played for realsies. But when is that gonna happen? Nobody knows. I mean, a lot of the DLC characters have been in the sort of the DLC limbo for a very long time. including my boy Sin when they released him back in Season 2. Okay, anyway. Next one is gonna be Yorokobi. I think Yorokobi's first match on Bounty Hunters. Is that right? I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yep. That is gonna be up against Kuro, one of our intermediate Happy Chaos players. Okay, we got both players ready to go. Matchup-wise, I think this is one of the best examples of how Nagoriyuki can be exploited on high blood, because you don't have normal movement options. You have very limited amount of tools once you actually hit that high blood to try to evade the reticle. And since you have so much difficulties moving forward, Happy Chaos actually has prospects to just start the resource cycling. So you're in a little bit of a you're kind of in on a clock as a Naga player, I want to say. You start the round with all of your resources intact. That is the time to strike. That is where you want to try to get close to Happy Chaos and stick to him as well as possible. But in this kind of situation, I mean, here, you're of course gonna take the mix-ups. But if this kind of situation would revolve back into neutral, it would be so much pain for Nagoriyuki, unless you get to that White Wild Assault distance, which is kind of like your own. Ooh, are we gonna pop? No, not quite. The 2 heavy is gonna drain back so much of that ever needed blood. 5 heavies will do the same, but now into the mix-up, and we are actually gonna go in. Happy Chaos is a little bit of a, has gotten much more of an aggressive character over time, as they reduced the amount of, or rather increased the amount of, ooh, no whip punish there. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, a little hard to react to, even if the opponent whips like a, what's it? It's like a 60 frame recovery move. So technically you should always get a punish if you're vigilant, but you know, in real combat situations, it's not always gonna be like that. But you know what is like that? This wall break here, using Deus Ex Machina, reloading the gun, and now Yorokobi does have some options here, because we are definitely not at 0 blood. Ooh, baits the throw, and then baits the burst, but does not bait the YRC. In fact, does have his own burst ready to go. Put the Nagoriyuki back in there. Ooh, messed up the last reload combo. No worries, we still have frame advantage. We still have the corner. And Kuro will be taking the first point here. Missing the DP, being very patient here. Even if you see that DP whip at round start and you're sort of like running back, you still have to be super careful, because there is always, even on whiff, an option to cancel into the second part of the DP, the overhead, that is also really good hitbox. Ooh, well placed, 2 heavy, and now we are in there. We have the blood, and we have the whole world open in front of us. Probably tried to get another 6 heavy there with the use of RC, which, if sticking, should have been a kill. Deus Ex Machina. Rather low prod, so is this gonna kill? Yeah, it's gonna kill. Deus Ex is one of those like super hard hitting supers as well. The kind of same way as Nago's reversal super is, or the combo ending supers is as well. Dangerous far slash whip here is gonna pop in a very safe distance. Kuro, instead of going for the TOD, choosing to take the throw and the setup instead. 2 different kind of ways you could always take. Oh, that's gonna pop right. And yeah, another throw. It doesn't matter if you do damage here or not. The blood rage, negative HP regeneration is gonna be enough for Kuro to take that round. That was a big RPS win. So now half of the blood gone. Options are still kind of open, but even like a clone Fukio here, nice reaction here. That was a true punish. So the forward Fukio, never a safe thing to do, but of course the RPS is that you can't distinguish between back and forward Fukio. And back Fukio has some really nasty grimy stuff. Oh, misses the initial shots, but then eventually the reticle finding its mark. Back to neutral, get the curse, yep, and that reticle snaps really fast like. Ooh, with the instant air dash, lands right in front of Yorokobi. Forced to use a burst here. Oh, look at that. The forward Fukio Beyblade is probably one of the most prominent tools to try to cut into the pressure situation. And one of the things that you kind of have to respect as Happy Chaos as well. Because your gun will not always just stick right away. More so, what you would like to do most of the time is you would like to make the opponent block a normal first, and then while the opponent is in block stun, it will guarantee that your gun will land home on them immediately. But to land normals on Nago with full blood available, that is the hard part. That is why, ooh, wait, close slash anti-airing from behind. I'm not sure if Yorokobi was trying to take the corner there, but with the full screen corner carry drifting forward, the 2 heavy still connects. Good, that would have been a punish otherwise. One shot, 5 heavy does not go online. Here we go. Ooh, misses the, I think missed the shot there. Mistimed taking out the gun. The block stun had already ended and the opponent was neutral. These things definitely do happen with these super technical characters. Oh, there was a lot of blood spent. The super jump forward. Backdash is one of the best methods to make the reticle whip on you. Gold burst. Minus, but not too much. But still, Yorokobi fighting. Just fighting for the last hit. And in the end, does get it. And we are getting the stick here as well as we're kicked out of the match. Oh boy. But yeah, you definitely have to be patient in this matchup as Nagoriyuki, for you have very limited amount of resources to play with. And the further in the round you go, the prospects of you getting your blood back are, unless you stick to the opponent, are very, very slim. After all, so compare the unique resources of Nagoriyuki and Happy Chaos, for instance. Happy Chaos concentration comes back in around like, how many seconds? Like 5 or 6 seconds, pulling a number out of my ass. The amount of time you will have to wait for Nagoriyuki if you're not interacting with the opponent is a really long time. There technically is no, there is passive blood regeneration or degeneration, but it's basically non-existent. So if you're stuck in a high blood situation, you're gonna be stuck in there like at least half a minute or so while you're waiting for one special worth of blood to open up potentially. Like, even if you make a mistake managing your resources as Happy Chaos, it's if you don't get comboed down to 0 out of that mistake, you still have ways to play afterwards. Nago though, if you're facing a Happy Chaos that plays really smartly, understands that, you know, you have difficulties moving forward, you might actually see a little bit of zoning gameplay. The old forbidden that is not supposed to exist anymore. Because you can afford to recharge your resources much more aggressively than versus other characters. Okay, Yorokobi taking a win here, I think. Put it back to rematch, and 2 points each is the position we're gonna be resuming from. Because everybody knows about, like, you fire a shot, for example, a steady aim, and then you go straight into reload, or concentration recharge. When you go into that, Nago can't just dash forward, and if you're high blood, speaking of high blood, let's see if Kuro notices. I mean, I'm not sure if he did, but the pop did happen in a very safe distance, so... Ooh, nice bluff there. Kuro did have, I think, a steady aim there and a reticle locked onto Yorokobi, but then cancelled out of that and went for a bullet reload instead. That's the kind of thing that you're probably gonna see a lot against high blood Nago Ryuki. You can afford to do that. Because like, how is Nago gonna take advantage of that? They're not gonna be moving forward very much. Unless there's blood for like Fukyo and probably one special move at least. I mean, arguably forward Fukyo alone does move you forward quite a bit. But we already discussed how, you know, how punishable forward Fukyo can be. Yep, sees the opportunity to kill. However, Yorokobi also sees a chance to survive, tried to go for the blood-sucking universe. Alas! Kuro understanding the situation and, you know, as long as you say, I'm not gonna take the bite, I will take anything but the bite, you should be okay. Reticle lacked there, locked in there. Once again, couple of shots into a KD. And every single KD, you have an opportunity to reload more resources back. Usually gonna be bullets, as those are a little bit harder to come by passively. Or in fact, will not regenerate passively at all. YRC and close slash catches for a big combo. Here we go. 2S did not combo into 5 heavy there, huh? And that is conversions from Happy K, as you already know, one of the best convertibility of buttons in Guilty Gear Strive. As long as you have your unique resources. Oh, tried to go for the throw a little too early. But Kuro also was on point, was on the top of that RPS as well. So technically, forward Fukyo, you're never going to be able to throw an opponent that is trying to throw you. The OTG sets up the close slash, and that's surely gonna be a kill. Very dominant game here for Kuro. That's kind of how it's gonna look like when you just don't find the openings against Happy Chaos. And now, even a couple of special moves used will burn around like half of your blood. And in this situation, what is your thought process gonna be like when you go back to neutral? Is it like, man, I have to burn more meter to get close to Happy Chaos fast, like this? I mean, if you find a hit, that's great, but it spends a lot of blood, doesn't it? Like a Fukyo forward into Beyblade costs like how much? It's way more than 1 bar. Oh no, actually, it's actually roughly around 1 bar, right? To the other side, good timing on the burst. Ooh, missed the initial close slash, but then goes for another one. Rings as a counter hit. Big damage. And now that 1 bar available. I'm actually surprised that Yorokobi hasn't been utilizing White Wild Assault much. I don't think we've seen a single White Wild Assault, because that's usually like the ace card. The sort of equalizing factor that you can use to alleviate your blood problems. But I mean, to be able to doesn't even pop as an OTG, just completely in Kuro's face, and that's gonna be an easy punish into a win. But yeah, even if you do have the burst for White Wild Assault, you do still have to get like relatively close, right? You do still have to go into the active range of that move. Yeah, like so. If the opponent respects though, I mean, if you connect that Wild Assault while the opponent is airborne, that's gonna be your plus frame situation. Oh no, look at that. The micro dash forward and then crouch under. Kuro with the mastermind moves here, letting the opponent switch into the corner and then combo them like it was no problem at all. And while the reticle is locked in, is always an opportunity for another frame trap. The shot does not miss. Alright, pushing the situation here. DP round start connects. Blood-sucking universe is big here. It's kind of shades of the first round. Good jump forward by Kuro. There's more blood burn. Hopefully we don't burn ourselves completely. The 6 heavies, the 5 heavies also are gonna help with the plot situation and are just basically gonna decimate the opponent as well. That was a sort of a textbook Nago round there. Yeah, there we go. Trying to push the opponent in the corner. Once again, plus frames, connecting an air button on the opponent. Making Kuro uncomfortable enough to try to burst out of the corner, but this is sort of okay here. Until the side switch happens. With the Dark Souls mix-ups as well. Kuro has the meter as well. This is gonna completely reload the gun, but we have still some difficulties in terms of concentration. Yeah, in this situation, Yorokobi would probably have to go, yeah, exactly that. That's the thing. That's the thing that has to happen. If you suspect that your opponent is trying to bluff for resources, trying to recharge those resources when it's very dangerous, you have to bounce forward. You have to use the forward hook your Beyblade to advance full screen. It does get you there really fast, and it's very likely to attack the opponent as well if they try to recharge too much. Of course, like usually from normals or shots, you get to recharge just a little, maybe a bullet or two. Ooh, nice read there on the blood-sucking universe. We are really high on blood though. Ooh, that was really important hit there. If Kuro escapes the corner here, man, that's gonna be painful. Ooh, big hit. Kuro knows it. Delayed just enough to push Yorokobi into the right direction with that burst. Are we gonna pop? No, not quite. Ooh, Kuro might have been watching the meter here, the blood meter, and being like, ooh, are you popping? Are you popping? Are you not popping? So, aborting their combo just before the finisher. YRC would be really nice to land. Yes, strikes here. The // sequence is a little bit punishable. The last hit of that // is the most important one, the one that recharges most blood back. Good RPS here, the 5 PP mash here out of the Goomba Stomp. I'm a little unfamiliar what the Happy Chaos's options are to make that tight. Probably like gunshot. Gunshot is a pretty good guess. But that time there was none. Once again, or rather for the first time, Yorokobi actually finding some value for... Well, I guess that's not true. He has been getting decent value with the Wild Assaults in the corner before. Connecting them on an airborne opponent, maintaining that boxing situation. You don't necessarily have to connect it with, like, cleanly to get value. Oh, is that gonna be safe? Not quite. Close / punish. Close to a TOD. Do we got it? We got the super. At the end, yep, that should be a kill. Yorokobi realizes, chooses that they're oh, interesting. This is kind of a hero burst situation, but it just might work out because it's Nagoriyuki. 100 meter Kuro, 100 burst as well, drifts forward, the 2P is fast enough, and the dream is gone, just like that. Picked the perfect option, played a very preemptive mash there, I think. That was even before the drift, whatchamacallit, super freeze from the RC. Nice. Drift forward into blood-sucking universe. If you're sleeping on the wheel, that might happen to the best of us. And again, it's like the forward Fukyo and the back Fukyo look exactly the same, although that is usually more of a problem when you are in close range pressure situation, right? But from that situation, or like that distance when Nago is really far away, there ain't gonna be a back Fukyo, right? Or if there is, it's not gonna do anything. I think combo through the wall. Immediate YRC to prevent the positive bonus building any tension for Kuro. I mean, in the end, even if you do get your turn back, it ends up building around like half, 50%, right? As a consolation prize. Ooh, run out of concentration, but still making the best out of the bad situation. pressing the situation, playing the strike throw, baiting out the throw attempt. the biggest problem is if you don't have gun available is that your frame traps are a little lackluster and you don't really have the strike throw threat really the same way that other characters do, I think. Ooh, here we go. Expected there to be a burst immediately, however, Kuro smartly recognizes this, the game state here. I'm sitting on a round lead, so I don't necessarily need to burst into this dangerous situation. Ooh, good frame trap with the with the Beyblade. Very close to popping. That 5 heavy was big. Look how much blood you actually get from that 5 heavy. Passively, there is like almost no blood degeneration whatsoever, but if you manage to connect one of your heavies, oh man, the blood is coming back flowing in the next 3 seconds. Or is it, how many seconds? Is it, I think it's 3 for spending and like 6 or 5 for regaining, or the other way around, depending on how you look at it. Because like technically you're spending when your blood is counting, when your blood is increasing, you're spending. Therefore, it's like fuck. All right, let's just forget about. It's at this point it's arguing what you call them, semantics. Right, we are out of concentration for now, so a good opportunity to challenge here. But look at this, so high blood, it's really hard to advance on Happy Chaos, even with that 0 concentration state. And now Kuro with the full barrel, or the full clip, ready to unleash some mix-ups. Here's some left-rights. Take a guess, which one is it? Or maybe you will try to throw me out of that mix-up, because it's a little hard to make it perfect for Happy Chaos. It's often like a very, very frame-perfect kind of timing. Here comes the jump. No response. Still some blood available, but also tension is gonna be rising for Kuro. However, gets stuck out of the air with a close slash of Nagoriyuki's, and the pop is gonna be good. Now this is tough. Lots of chip damage. Tried to inch that air dash forward. Big value from that white wild assault. Yorokobi. Wait, what happened? Kuro was in the lead. I did register it that Yorokobi was in the lead for a moment, and then, just like that, it's just over. Nobody saw that coming. Or maybe it's just QK who didn't see that coming. But out of that advantageous situation, it just suddenly, Yorokobi bounced out of nowhere. I think it was, the turning point was when Yorokobi sort of started using the tension resources on in offensive manner more. That started yielding really good results and like allowed much better management of your resources, even in those high blood pressure situations, especially when Yorokobi had Kuro in the corner. But yeah, welcome to Bounty Hunters. That was quite the run back here for Yorokobi. Now, oh yeah, this is the question mark matchup here, which I am quite not sure if we're actually gonna play this. So it is very early. So Bunko is one of our first West Coast players, I think, and it's still very, very early for West Coast time. What time is it even? Time in California, which is I think where Bunko is from. It's like barely 10 a.m. over there on a Sunday morning, so yeah, this matchup might actually not manifest here. I think Spooky was one possible replacement, but apparently can't make it either. So I think next was also a potential replacement option. The problem is that Civ is at a relatively high skill level, so it's a little hard to get like even-ish matchup at this very moment for Civ. We're doing some last minute TOing. In that case, I'm not sure if... Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's such a... It's such a... such an ace in a hole kind of matchup, or a Joker card. What's the analogy that they usually use? It's been escaping me all evening. Like when something is really unexpected or like super obscure or... Anyway, the players will choose whatever character they want, and it's gonna be Civ versus Nex instead. So actually, let me take this time to fix the scoreboard. Let's get Nex in there. And we have the right flag as well. Okay. Okay. That should be good. So the choice for Civ seems to be Anji, which is definitely a downgrade that we're looking for, because it's a little bit of a off-skill bracket matchup versus Nex. Very welcome sort of optimization that we downgrade from the Sin and the Ram that are the best characters for Civ. Next, I believe, we'll be playing their main character, which is Chip. So Anji versus Chip. The neutral / whiff punish machine versus the hard Las Vegas gambler. I mean, it's like, it's not even an insult. It's just kind of like a cold hard truth of the matter that Anji has a lot of power level bestowed upon him in the form of that spin. And if you don't utilize the spin, you're not utilizing a huge part of your kit. So Anji lives and dies by the spin RPS, pretty much. But also it's a knowledge check, it's a reaction check, it's a execution check, all combined in one in order to be able to deal with the spin as well. Like, do you know the counterplay? Do you know the timings? Do you know how to punish a normal 236k? Do you know how to punish a charged 236k? Do you know how the situation changes if the Anji player holds their other special moves and adds parry frames to Fujin? Or, what's the other one? Ko? Like how do you deal with these different things when Anji sort of mixes up between those? Right, and flip the names like so. And we're pretty much ready to go. Okay. Of course, cool thing about let's put it like this. If you don't understand anything about the timing RPS of Anji spins, there is one saving grace for you, which is if you think the spin is coming, you could, instead of striking into it, instead of trying to hunt for the recovery frames, you could try to throw it instead. And what's another good feature to combine with that? Move speed, for sure. So Chip can theoretically get into the position to throw those spins pretty fast. The problem is if your layer 1 response against spin is dash in and throw, you're kind of doing half the work for Anji already. Because Anji is supposed to struggle with the neutral game. Struggle with having like, usually has weaker buttons than you, has weaker neutral than you. If you're dashing at Anji, it's like, oh, the opponent is coming to me. I don't have to necessarily gamble. I can be the neutral character instead. I can protect my space in front of me. I can maybe make them run into my far slash. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool for Anji. Oh. Let's see what's up. Oh, okay, so Civ needed to restart the router. That is fine. Oh, I see. So the story of the stuff here is that the sort of delay probably seemed to be a little rough there in the match preview. So Civ chose to try to restart the router and remedy the situation. Of course, it's a little bit of a mystery in terms of like, is it the Strive servers today? Is it my internet? Is it my router? Is it like who's to blame? Is it just bad routing? Is it the host? Sometimes the problem is that the room is hosted by somebody else, like a third party, and then there's like some sort of black magic internet stuff where you kind of have to route to the lobby owner, and stuff can happen and the connection can screw up like that. I don't even know, dude. Why is it not just peer-to-peer between the players? I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know about these things. Maybe it's impossible. Maybe we need a couple of decades more of software engineering time in order to get these things out of control. Maybe. Right. So it looks like we're gonna attempt to have one of the players host the room instead, because currently it looks like the connection is a little rough. But I mean, might as well host a new room, right? Or I don't know. Anything works. Okay, so we're gonna try if it actually works here. If not, we're gonna try to host or make one of the players host the room. If that doesn't work, then I mean, skip into the next one we go. Okay, fingers crossed. Yeah, there definitely seems to be a little bit of jitter here. You can actually see it as a spectator as well, but it's Yeah, Nex says rough. So we are gonna sand back out of this, and then that's another thing. Why don't you have? Yeah, look at this. This is a lot of jitter. Distance-wise, there's like it shouldn't be too far off, right? But I mean, sometimes it doesn't really matter in terms of your geolocation, even if you're kind of close to where you're trying to connect. The routing just says, nope, I'm gonna go through the most convoluted path available instead of going straight from point A to point B. Internet architecture. Okay. Let us try to host a room. Rather have one of the players host a room. See if this is actually doable. And if not, hey, we tried.
Network. Welcome.
Alrighty, fingers crossed that it's gonna work. Oh, never mind. It looks like Save actually has to go, so this whole thing is... this whole thing is just cursed. Okay. Well. I mean, I guess there was a decent chance that it's not gonna work out anyway. So you could be sort of a harbinger of bad luck and be like, yeah, it was not meant to happen. It was not meant to work out anyway. All right, let's go back to our normal bounty hunter's room then.
Welcome.
And the next one in line will actually be pretty interesting. So BlackRaven and Rygand. So Rygand has had a couple of sort of detours into other characters, which is, you know, always a good conduct in my opinion. When you're a high-level competitor, you should probably understand, especially the current meta characters as well as possible. And I've seen Rygand has had characters such as like Kai, Chip. Those are at least the characters that I know of, and now Sin. And if there ever has been time to pick up Sin, it's probably now, in the peak of his, arguably in the peak of his power level. Like, some players argue that, you know, they liked Season 3 better, but objectively, Season 4 Sin has to be the most strong one. It is a very different game, very different playstyle. It's sort of like you have to accept that it's gonna be feast and famine. You're not always gonna be in the pressure position. In that sort of way, Sin is a little different from some other snowballing characters in Guilty Gear Strive. Many top tier characters then can just get one hit in, and then they will just have more and more and more, and they never stop. Sin loses a little bit of momentum when you run out of stamina. Although, as we've sort of established earlier when we were watching Leif's Sin match, you can substitute other resources for that stamina. You can make those conversions work with Red Wild Assault. You can make them work with Roman cancels. So you have a lot of different options for how you want to play this character, Sin. And I personally like the sort of the new Feast and Famine gameplay because it gives me incentive to play defensively, to do the thing that characters usually don't do in Guilty Gear Strive. Like a lot of the times it's just aggression and momentum forward, guerrilla your way in, never stop. But Sin, this Season 4 Sin allows you to have a very defensive game plan where if you run out of steam, you can just go into the defensive posture instead. Use your God buttons such as like 2S, jump heavy, protect your airspace, stall. Yeah, you're gonna give away some space probably, but the reward you're gonna get out of that in the end, getting at least 2 stamina back, you're back at your prime, you're ready to do 50% health on your opponent on a successful combo. It's definitely worth it. You just have to be comfortable defending sometimes. And I mean, to begin with, even at the sort of weakest point of Sin's career, at the very end of Season 2 when he was released, he was still defensively very sound character back then. It was just the offensive part was a little, it wasn't there quite yet, but Sin has always been quite a strong character defensively. We've always had a strong DP, we've always had pretty good buttons to put out to prevent the opponent from coming in. It just that, yeah, I think Season 2 Sin was like a character that wins through defense, interestingly. And you still retain that same defensive prowess to this very day. So it's completely okay and a valid strategy to sometimes switch to shift gears to defense and just wait for the stamina to come back. And then that imposes a certain kind of need, a timer on your opponent. Are you just gonna wait there? Are you just gonna stand there while Sin is doing nothing and let him get his stamina back? Because that's kind of same-ish kind of thing as letting Nagoriyuki just stand for 40 seconds straight and let him get his blood back through passive regeneration. You can't let that happen, right? So a low stamina Sin kind of compels you to come forward, play, do things, so that Sin can't get back to the full potential. All right, but Rygand Sin, I never thought there would be a day when I could say those two things, Rygand and Sin together. But lo and behold, we got the stuff. Now, I know that Rygand has the basic stuff, especially the 2 stamina conversions. Ooh, into. Oh, gets thrown in the corner, and now BlackRaven with the mix-up opponent the opportunities. Got them out of the sky with jump slash. Not the cleanest combo, but enough to push Rygand in the corner and press the offense afterwards. So neutral-wise, it's definitely gonna go in favor of Sin. You have a little bit more range, a little bit more firepower in your conversions, whereas Baiken will have to work into her sort of optimal striking distance. Might get the throw with a standard strike throw pressure, converting the throw into wall break as well. Now BlackRaven has an advantage here in terms of of resources. However, tried to go for the S Kabari here. Rygand going under, missing the combo. This reversal should be good. But Sin, with the recent addition of more EHP, still ready to go for at least one more combo. And here's the look at that, the close slash actually anti-aired. The problem for Sin is these jumping moves are not the best, so you would much rather use them to defend your airspace rather than to engage your opponent. But I mean, sometimes if the opponent throws a fireball, it doesn't matter how shallow your jump-ins are. You're gonna get them punished because all fireballs are generally like a standing hitbox. A double jump out of the corner. Rygand definitely knows the air game. I think one of the more aggressive air characters in the game in his pocket in the form of Mei. From the two heavy. Oh, tried to go for a red parry there, but a little too early, I feel like. There is an opportunity between the heavy hits of Sin to try to red parry between those, or you could just, instead of that, try to aim the parry at the hit that is gonna come out after 5 heavy or 2 heavy instead. Full stamina for Rygand, perfect distance there, utilizing the disjoints of the jump heavy, not really risking the head-on jump in, but instead using the tip of that active range. But then, once you are in the active striking distance with Baiken, that's where you shine. That's where Baiken really starts to shine. Especially with 50 meter available. Then TK Yozen becomes a deadly unseeable mix-up. And I mean, strike throw is also pretty deadly for Baiken as well. If you get that throw, you are able to attach the Kabari for free and then go into some of your best mix-ups. So she gets a lot of value for even landing a normal throw. Nice reaction there. We'll be able to break the throw out of the Gazelle step. Technically, yeah, that I was about to say that is technically, if you are fast enough to react, that should be a true punish for Sin's opponent. But of course, depending on the sort of your reaction times and the pace of the match, you might miss the perfect timing. Another good jump, heavy jump in. And the basic conversion, yep. Good basic stuff here for Rygand. Ooh, tried to go for a hoop stomp round start. However, the Kabari does end up clipping Rygand. The safe jump, unfortunately missed. Safe jumps are a little dangerous, of course, against Baiken because the reversal parry will counter them, which is probably why... Oh. Yeah, we still tapped a clean hit as well on the first Tyrant Barrel. Good stuff. Yeah, being very conscious of the potential reversal parry. But of course, you can never be too turned off by the prospect of the reversal. Sometimes you have to strike, sometimes you have to bait. But finding the perfect sort of equilibrium between those options. Ooh, got a conversion straight into RTL. Is this actually going to be enough damage? It should be. The opponent is so low already. So Rygand not doing anything too fancy, just spending it all immediately in order to take out the opponent just like that. And that's actually one of the things that Rygand said that it tries to utilize when he's playing Sin. Do as simple stuff as possible. Rygand, of course, represents the school of players who, you know, are not necessarily like the best with execution, or perhaps can do difficult stuff but would rather not risk it. And if you represent that kind of school of thinking, Sin is definitely a good option for you, because you can get a lot of value from just basic things. Again, 2 stamina stuff. Very powerful. Even on block, you can force +6 strike throw. And on hit, yep, you're gonna do half of your opponent's life. But now, the nasty stuff here, plus from that cross-up Yozan. And the party continues, crosses up. Rygand with the last bit of health will be able to get a 6p on block. Surprising to see Baiken players jump in without pressing a button. But I guess you kind of have to. The opponent has a really good 6p after all, and it's like I don't think it's it's not an optional thing. You kind of have to jump in this matchup as Baiken. You gotta have to risk the jump in. Oh my god, that's a pretty cool combo. Frame kill at the end there with a parry. Ooh, that's a big hit potentially. Clipped Baiken from a little too far distance to get the most optimal combo out. Probably a little too far. Rygand with the FD pushing BlackRaven away from being able to be in that 5D distance. And then conversion. Got a very early wall stick. Now let's see how Rygand is gonna play with this low stamina. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. Playing the defensive neutral, waiting, and if Baiken is doing what Baiken does, if Baiken moves backwards while you're waiting for your stamina, the clock is tick-tock ticking. You're gonna lose value as Sin gets closer and closer of that full stamina state. Right, now with the follow-up of Yozan into a mix-up. Let's see what's it gonna be. Double overhead. Burst out of the corner. You kind of have to, because this is the last round of this game. Gonna be counter hit, convert into pressure, spend 2 stamina. Not quite getting the wall break, but in a very nice position here to potentially burn tension as well on high-low. Raven does fight out of the corner though. And look at this, Raven is very explosive here, 100 meter. Is that gonna be a kill? Unfortunate side switch there. So the kill opportunity goes down the drain until we're gonna double it or sink it into a gun super instead. A jump scare surprise. If the opponent is respecting, especially if the opponent is grounded there, it's basically gonna be for naught, and the 50 meter is wasted. But alas, Rygand was either at the start of his jumping, at the start of the jump startup, or already committed to a button of some sort. Ooh, tried to throw. Raven a little too far away from that throw. By the into overhead, nice blocks. However, it's not over just yet. And for / anti-air, that's a very good showcase of how, you know, shallow Sin's jump-ins are, naturally. I think it's like, if opponent hits just about any button, yeah, the jump slasher, jump heavy are not gonna jump in very well. But I mean, the reason why Rygand is doing this instant air dash, look at this, was trying to catch the fireball function, which is the Kabari. The Kabari is Baiken's furthest reaching thing. Is this a safe jump? It is. However, that is not necessarily a mix-up, or that is not a mix-up. If you block RTL that close distance, you can throw, you can close slash, but perhaps Raven missing the timing or having a crucial gap in the knowledge here. Into the overhead. Here we go. Converting. Excellent. Spending it all this time. However, now we'll probably have to switch into a more defensive posture. And it's going to be hard here. What's the mix-up? Double overhead again. Rygand has seen that before, so won't get bamboozled this time. And we are reaching that 2 stamina threshold where Rygand can actually confirm big time, making sure that we get this wall break, forcing BlackRaven to burst. And now even if we're empty on that tension, it doesn't matter. We are ready to burn. Goes for the 1 stamina conversion, and yeah, even on the interesting thing, even on hit, even on counter hit, that hoof stomp without a follow-up is quite punishable, or is quite minus, but it is sort of a knowledge check or reaction check if your opponent knows to try to press their offense afterwards. The throw, we have 50 meter ready to go. Not quite getting the tyrant barrel in there, but still with a massive life advantage, Rygand ready to do all sorts of stuff. In fact, with 100 meter ready to go, that should be it. Straight into tyrant barrel. Keep it simple. Absolute textbook, keep it simple kind of play. Rygand evens it up 2-2. Weak 1 Sin. But if you have strong fundamentals behind the character, and most importantly, I think even more important than having the fundamentals is dumbing down your gameplay enough so that you don't ever drop anything. understanding what you can do and what you cannot do. So don't do the things you can't do. Ooh, got another clean jump in. Choosing that go into a follow-up special. That means that we're gonna have 2 stamina here coming up. However, BlackRaven's offense finds a close slash. Definitely worth the burst. Goes under the Kabari. As one of the problems with Kabari, not only do you have like a range disadvantage against stuff like Sin's, ooh, that's a big current, against stuff like Sin's Beak Driver or the S buttons, but the Elk Hunt, one of the most premium neutral skips of the game, will also just take care of it just like that. Into a throw, 3 stamina ready to go. Ooh, nice. He's using stagger pressure to check if the opponent wants to press something. Get a mix-up coming. Yep, safe jump works out. Bar slash punish, but, you know, punish is always a punish. Get a tether attached. Into a cross-up. Actually gets some RTL out. Okay, 100 meter into it, so kind of safe, but still in the corner. Let's see if Raven can give that a close slash anti-air into a massive combo. That kind of makes sense against a character that just doesn't have the best jump-ins, that you would use your more damaging buttons for anti-airing, such as the close slash. Even though Baiken is not known for having like a very high-reaching close slash, why would you use that if that's enough to anti-air Sin out of basically anything that he could do? Ooh, misses the super input, unfortunately. So now, oh, but Raven corners himself. Next hit is gonna be super crucial. Rygand, of course, with a massive life lead here, sees the opportunity to burn the RC on the throw and takes the front seat position for the first time in this set. There were a little bit of shakes at the start of the set, and still, like, Rygand is not necessarily converting everything 100%, but it doesn't matter. We have all the necessary things to deal enough damage when there are openings. Once again, ace card is the Elk Hunt. First pushes BlackRaven into the corner, nice DP. Burn the last stamina on that. Strike throw is, of course, always available still. Oh, I see the Rygand is using the other frame kill setup to use the 2K2D to set up your close slash pressure. There are a couple of different ways that you could do that, but all of them are, I think, equally as good. I think that's actually the Churara style, which makes a lot of sense, because I think I heard Rygand say that they are a more follower of the school of Churara rather than other high-level Sin players. Nice tech on the throw, but still boxed in the corner against ZoKHiZ. That's the small problem for Sin's 6P. It is so good, it launches the opponent so high on counter hit that you actually have to delay your special cancels afterwards. Ooh, nice, got the backdash. And here comes the mix-up, TKOs, and Rygand knows the overhead is the option that a lot of players want to go for, and surely this is enough damage with RTL to finish it up. Another cool thing about Sin, if you're just getting started with this character, is that you don't have to necessarily do a lot of hard combos. You can convert into his supers very early. You can do even stuff like, you know, third strike stuff as such as like connect like a 2S and then one hit confirm into a Tyrant Barrel to break the wall immediately, or just a couple of hits into RTL. Like, you don't lose that much value if you do stuff like that. And oftentimes, a very like early optimization for playing a new character is to utilize your meter to make your hit confirms as easy to convert as possible. What a shimmy there. Gets a throw punish into... This time Rygand actually connects the safe jump. Has had a little bit of difficulties earlier connecting that. Nice RPS again! Waiting for the reversal parry, knows that that is the layer 1 option for our one-handed samurai. Oh, the jump slash was probably supposed to be a cross-up Yozan. That's what Raven wanted to do earlier. Finally gets it out, plus frames from the Escabari, and now we're going for a ride, because when that tether is attached, you got a lot of more explosive potential from your combos. I wonder, so Rygand has been DPing that mix-up pretty well. I wonder if Rygand is using the DP FD OS, which is relatively strong for DP users against Viking. I think this is a bait, right? But because of the 100 meter, Raven will be relatively safe. Missed the follow-up there. Unfortunate. Rygand is playing defensive once again, waiting until we are at that 2 stamina mark. Ooh, that's a big one. Counter hit jump slash. Rygand knows the power of that combination. And now with everything available. Ooh, there's the bait as well. And we have the TP here. The wall stick and the super perfect. Everything aligns perfectly for Rygand. Wow. I wouldn't even have thought of baiting the burst there myself. So Rygand, of course, one step ahead as a super high level player himself, knows when the opponent would like to burst. And it doesn't necessarily matter what character you're playing, the same thing is gonna pop into your head. Like, alright, they wanna burst here. Do I have a way to bait at this point? Yes? Alright, go for it. Escabari, the DP to challenge that, very standard stuff. Ends up burning all of the stamina here, but trades it for BlackRaven's burst. Nice, this time BlackRaven knew that without that stamina ready to be burned, that hoof stomp ain't gonna be very safe. It's the combo, but still in the pressure. RC in order to chase. Nice chase, the air-to-air jump slash. One of the best buttons for Viking. Lacks the 50 meter to go for the basic, or the most, having all the options available in terms of strike throw. There we go, spent the last stamina in order to force the wall break, and now back into the defensive play. I mean, I could see Rygand switching it up a little here. Ooh. Textbook. Look at that button, that jump heavy. Don't need to jump in, make the opponent run at you, make the opponent ram themselves into that massive disjoint. That is the way to play Sim. I tried to force the situation, plus frame from the Yozan. Raven has a lot of meter to spend here and would love to maintain a life advantage in order to do so. However, Rygand forcing the things here, going to the 1 stamina conversion, get the wall break. And now problem is BlackRaven is still a little higher in life, and Raven is looking to burn here in order to not let that stamina come back. This is exactly what you gotta do. I think this was exactly the approach that you had to take as Viking here. And because approaching your opponent is so difficult, alright, just spend meter in the approach then. And it's always this conundrum in Guilty Gear. The player who has more meter has more options available, therefore has the last say in almost every single situation. Right, Rygand avoiding the wall break here. All the stamina is back. 100 tension. I think this will be a kill, right? RTL, I think even if Rygand doesn't have the 100 RTL setup, okay, just takes it, makes it safe and takes the wall break. There is still life to tank through a couple of these hits. Here's the DP, not quite the kill, but tapped it with the 5D, and because the tether was attached, it actually maintained the close distance between the characters. I think normally, if Rygand ends that combo like that, is not gonna be in the range to do that 2D, but because of the Kabari, I think that was possible. Rygand 6 points to Raven's 2. It's been a very successful run so far. And I wonder what the adjustment is here. Plus frames, caught the backdash with the Kabari once again. Ooh, that's a big one. And Rygand does a pretty good conversion there, the dash cancel. I wonder if you do that just naturally with Mei as well. I guess the most optimal would be close slash DC into a finisher. A big combo from BlackRaven. Could have a wall break here into a super. Looking good, and now Rygand will have to guess for their lives. Theoretically. We have lots of meter to play with here. Just go for the most obvious, the most layer one answer, DP. BlackRaven was ready. That's a big, big. Oh, we go for it again. Opponent a little too high. Tried to tap for the 5D, and the reversal super will triumph here for Raven. Now, this is definitely the last point where Raven has to absolutely turn up the heat. In fact, don't put just one plate on. All the stove plates have to be on at the same time. And put the pot in the middle, even though that's not the most optimal way of doing it. Oh, nice reaction again. Catches the Gazelle step with a throw. Ooh, clean. That's gonna be a big combo. And Rygand has no burst here. So gonna take the full frontal assault of this big combo. Some of the easiest to, or not really the easiest to perform combos, but most valuable combos for Rygand actually start from those air-to-air counter hits. In those cases, she doesn't necessarily have. Oh, was this a misinput? 1, 2, 3, and the punish? Yeah, close slash into. Keep it simple. 1, 2, and it kills. Rygand on the first set point. Finds the Elk Hunt once again. Ooh, okay, there could be still a wall break out of it, but it's a little bit of knowledge, deeper knowledge if you want to finish it like that. Reversal DP. Ooh, I think Raven was pressing jump slash there, so got caught by the RTL. Waiting for the stamina once again, and immediately you can see as Rygand hits the 2 stamina threshold, we're going in. That's when we have the firepower. Now Raven will have to somehow fight through that firepower. Got them air to air. Yeah, I think starting to sort of see that Rygand loves to jump around a little more than maybe many other characters or other players. So going air to air and utilizing that massive reward advantage. Oh, but is this gonna be it? Do we have the conversion? DP, wall stick, and 6 heavy will do the deed. Rygand on week 1 Sin. Looking pretty clean. And with this base, there is definitely a lot of potential to add on top of it. Would love to see more of this absolute unit of a bald guy. The time to play Sin is now, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't picked up your pocket Sin yet, you still can. You still can while the era of Sin is going on. And with that said, Rygand will take it 7-2 in the first attempt to pilot this lovely character. Yeah, it is absolutely Churara Sin vibes, because that's the player that Rygand has been watching the most. That's kind of exactly what I do as well. When I pick up a new character or new game, or both, I'm just gonna look up the strongest player available, or one of the strongest player available, and start out by just copying their game plan completely. What do they do? What do they not do? Just imitate it and then start building it from there. And I mean, arguably, who could you choose at this point other than the strongest Sin scene in Arc World Tour, right? It's a logical choice, right? Alright, we got one more ready to go, and let me actually put on the lights, because it's getting pretty dark in here. I have officially lost all my kittens, for I've been yelling way too much. But we have one more to go. Zikra versus Munch. So I initially thought that, wait, we've played this on Bounty Hunters before, right? But no, we actually haven't. It's been the Asuka versus Bridget matchup that we've seen a little bit recently. And in fact, Zikra was the player to play that previously. Was it 2 events ago? Versus, can I remember? I think it was Tala Bridget. But this one versus Jacko, we haven't had too often. In fact, the last time we had this was... It was... Was it Decoy Snell? No, it was... God, it's been such a long time that I can't even remember. But that also begs the question, how does this matchup actually go? I know Jacko has certain kind of sequences that you can sort of plummet your minions at your opponent so that they just go through pretty much everything. Such as if you soccer kick your minions, you should have a lot of priority to power through the opponent's projectiles, and that's sort of gonna be the gist of most Asuka matchups. How does the opponent deal with your incoming basic cubes? Of course, there are a lot of other cards, a lot of other spells in Asuka's kits that kind of disallow your opponent from having a lot of counterplay, that force your opponent in difficult situations, but you're not always going to be drawing those. Most of the stuff that you're going to be drawing is basic cubes. So the layer 1 is, how does the RPS work against basic cubes? How do you neutral against basic cubes? And I wonder if the brief moment that you kind of have to spend on Jacko to take out your minion, will that be enough of an opening to get things started on Asuka? Of course, like the best thing that you would like to do is to cycle into your best stuff as soon as you can. Oh, there we go, we got the opening, going straight into Death Case 3, the most classic Asuka gameplay, baits the DP on the overhead. Right, we got 2 attack spells in hand. Those are spending the guard crush spell first and letting the bit shift. Oh, hello! From the teleport into the back turn, or sorry, the back throw. Munch. Got the mana shield break. Oh, wait, what happened there? That was a... Huh? That was really funny looking. I thought Zikra got stuck onto a wall there. But maybe there was an extra strike that scraped him off of there that allowed the burst to come through. Anyway, so Munch, after a little bit of Zikra dominating situations, we're gonna transition into Jacko pressure. Now the mana shield is in peril as well. Can't block too much. We're gonna have to have some sort of response here pretty soon, because even when you're defending, that mana shield will tick down, and ticks down a lot when you take a hit. I think it's just checkmate here. There's no way Zikra will live through this, right? Although I say that, and we've seen the sickest comebacks from Zikra 2 weeks ago in the match against Tala. Not gonna happen this game though. Munch opens it up 1-0. Yeah, a character such as Jacko is probably one of the worst nightmares of Asuka once the minion pressure in the corner actually gets started. And if your mana shield gets broken, you're in a place where even Jacko will probably be really close to TODing you. Or the mana shield once again. Is it gonna pop? Has to FD for dear life so that it doesn't. And there it goes. Not even getting out of the corner. Anti-air on Munch is working out for Munch. And now, the good news is the mana shield is back, and we have a massive defensive modifier on the side of Asuka. But how do we weasel out of this position? If Zikra gets a jump off, we have a teleport card in hand, but we need to build a little bit of a little bit of a gap in order to cast, and this doesn't look very gap-free. Just gets out of there with an instant air dash. Okay, poke them, and here come the cubes. Now very low health, but we could still see a comeback. Zikra is in test case 3. Oh, the most low profile of moves, in addition to Jacko's 2K, the 2D sliding forward and getting under that black hole staff that had so many cubes orbiting at that time. The placement of the staff is, of course, like very, very important. Because like you can kinda choose where you want to create that black hole orbit, or the black hole perimeter, if you will. Now this round looking much more like an Asuka round. Good shimmy there. Start the pressure. Yep. Couple of volleys and then mix it up with a high-low. So many different options that you could do, and Zikra was still holding on to another one of those arpeggios. Nice choice to cast the Screamer here. However, Munch pressing forward, not being deterred by the initial hit that they took. It has been cast, however, the blue cube a little too slow on the startup. From the drift forward, Munch will be able to press buttons, and now, once again, the RPS for, ooh, that's very important. And was also super important that Zikra immediately went into that the mana charge there after getting the hit in. Even though Munch bursted immediately, being able to get half of your mana back was absolutely massive in order to maintain this defensive modifier. Now it's gone though. Let's see what we can do here. Back at neutral, 6B erases the single minion. Zikra is playing really good with single normals. I mean, Asuka is definitely not known for his good normals outside of the spells. Nice, casting all the right spells. Ooh, lots of utility spells in hand. Only one attack at the moment. Teleport straight under Munch and cast the lone attack spell, creating a huge hitbox with that guard crush spell. Saying that, all right, I can't play defensive here. I must go in. This is what I've been given. I will commit into this offense. This sole offensive option that I have. Because like, your opponent is not gonna wait for you either. And if your opponent knows a thing or two about Asuka, when they see a bricked hand, they will freaking go in really hard. There's a lot of arpeggios being drawn at the moment. This is the beauty of test case 3. We have another one. And both of these bit shifts are leveling up in the background as well. This is checkmate, right? Oh, might have spoken too soon. If you can put Asuka in a really difficult defensive situation, it is definitely doable. YRC is available. Tries to mix up Munch. Munch was in the air though at that time, I think. Got such a juicy amount of selection of spells. If we only could get to cast them. God, I was about to go all in, bet everything I have on Zikra in that right side corner position. But then Munch is like, nah, I just need to get the pressure started once. Good selection of spells. The Terra Metron, extremely good, surprisingly good from being casted from the air. Controls a massive amount of space horizontally. I get the hard knockdown. Couple of options here. I think Zikra has one buff spell from test case 2 here, right? That still goes under? Are you kidding me? Jacko 2D, the queen of low profiles, doesn't give a damn about the rainbow cube. Ooh, and plays the drift forward to get one more desperate mix-up. I mean, if that's blocked, then Zikra's pressure is sort of over, right? So that was a huge commitment into finishing the round right then and there. Into a TK spell once again. One standard cube and arpeggio in hand. Would love to cast that cube, but casting any spells has been really difficult in this position, especially when Munch activates that blue buff. The little extra amount of minion recovery enables, it makes this basically undefendable. You have to be really deep in the knowledge of Jacko stuff to know like what to do about this. Like, even though I've heard Oh, nice! Just a reaction on the overhead. zikra is so good defensively. But I mean, this is Guilty Gear. Eventually, that was the right option. Munch knew the only option was to cast the Arpeggio there. And what's the counterplay? Just go in really hard, because Arpeggio is one of your slowest casting spells on Asuka. But that was kind of those were the cards that were drawn by zikra, so you kind of had to commit there. Like, what else are you gonna do? Are you gonna try to pull another card that could be just about anything? I mean, I guess there's like some options for where you cast it, so you could maybe do like a super jump, double jump, cast it high up in the air, but then the angle will probably not be correct. It's a lot of geometrical questions when it comes to playing difficult characters such as like Asuka, as well as Venom. Right, 2 Screamers in hand. Getting a little bit of distance or making them block anything would be really good here. We get the cycle, side switch. Ooh, a little too high here with the Screamer. Stops the air dash with 5B, 6B to kill the minion, and now it's cycling time. Jumpy once again. zikra has been really good at using that particular button. Sees the kill opportunity, goes in with the casts. zikra is probably one of the more patient Asuka players I've ever seen. When it comes to like having to defend, it's just completely fine sitting there and just trying to wait for their turn. Because like as Asuka, you know, if you somehow, ooh, nice cheeky cross up there, using the teleport and the guard crush spell. Bit shift 5. Oh, unfortunately they don't get there in time. The minion snipes it. And now zikra in a little bit of a pickle. No! Bricked hand! Let's see if Munch notices. No, actually allowed zikra to draw 1 offensive card, but maybe it does not make any difference. zikra actually had to cast that useless staff spell here to make space for other spells. I think casting spells is usually like a little fast. What? Yo, hello? Instant TK air throw with a hard read? Okay. So we have 3 green orbs in hand. Green orbs are arguably the best ones to have. But again, the same conundrum. We need to build distance between ourselves and the opponent to be able to cast it. Yeah, of course, we're drifting forward, not letting zikra have any time to cast. The volley of 3 comes through. Terrametron, cycle, go into test case 3, and now we're trying to fish for the good cards. Ooh, F-Shiki, okay. The problem is we lost the corner, or either put ourselves in the corner instead, and now set up the Rainbow Cube. I think this will collide with it. Into a juggle bait that first. zikra on fire! And we have Arpeggio in hand as well. Find the, not the overhead, but the low with the use of 6K. It just works. zikra, when they actually get into the position, very precise, very methodical. I think also one of the keywords that pop into my mind when looking at zikra's play is no bullshit. Just do kind of same what Rygand did previously in the Sin matchup, but of course slightly in a different way, because completely different characters, right? Don't do like stuff that's, don't do too difficult stuff. Do like the basic stuff and do it well. And I mean, even the basic stuff on Asuka is kinda tricky, not gonna lie. Once again, in the danger of getting the mana shield broken. It's gonna pop. Uh-oh. This is one of the unfortunate scenarios that you sometimes have to be when you're playing Asuka Arcroix. Waiting. Mana shield is back. Again, this has to be zikra special. Getting your mana shield broken and just being completely fine sitting through it. I wonder if it's like, I wonder if there's pressure on Jacko's side to try to... Oh, look at the 5K! The 5K of gods! Stops not only the first volley of the hits, but also the teleporting zikra. And through the first volley of the gate shot. Through Arpeggio, we're reversaling with this hit crab. Right, minions coming. Zikra unfortunately won't be able to deter the first wave coming in, which makes... Ooh, I didn't even know Zikra had the DP card there and uses it to really good extent. Now the 5k has been a really good button for Munch and Jacko. It seems to be really active and covers a perfect angle. If you're close enough to Asuka, he even counters the full 3-shot volley of the green cube. But block this! Oh, double teleport into... this rainbow cube ain't gonna do much, so instead, Zikra goes in with normals. Are you kidding me? And actually successfully does that. Backdash out of the soccer kick. Munch decides that it's time to burst here. Ooh, nice. Forcing the situation because they had a Screamer in hand. Screamer, of course, a spell that fills massive amount of space and gives you massive amount of plus frames as well. 2 of those in hand at the moment, if we ever get to use that. 5B into more buttons. Choosing the Terra Metron here, forcing the opponent into blocks, and here come the Screamers. Going to test case 3, and now we're looking for the good spells. Unfortunately, we don't find them. We find, I think this was this the useless staff? I forgot. Even if that was the black hole staff, it didn't really give Zikra too much value here. Trying to stall for time, get the mana shield back. Do we even need the mana? Successful anti-air, strike throw. Oh baby, not quite enough tension to finish it up here, but the bait on the burst! It has to happen as Zikra, or a character that is not supposed to rush down at all, taking the burst. Or maybe that's why, because you're not the most rush down of a character. You're thinking more about, okay, so when is the burst coming out? I'm not giving up too much, even if I sort of end my sequence here, because like I'm not so bad guy or anything. Oh dear, Black Hole Cube. We have a lot of the buffs activated. Mana recovery buff is online. Trying to go for a 2S there. Very brave, Munch. Very brave. I wonder, could it safely erase some of the cubes that are in the orbit of the Black Hole staff? Wow, that was a 5G from very far away. But there was really no way for Munch other than try to guess for the block, because the second wave of the arpeggio was coming as well. A couple of casts. Yep, it's really hard to counter that green cube formation unless you're in the perfect place pressing the perfect button. Arpeggio is open. That means we can cycle. Only utility in hand once again. Good stuff, but we would much rather have something offensive. This is the heart of the card. Sometimes you draw bricked hands and then the magic will come from being able to deal with it. No! More utility, at least. Oh no! Zikra actually deleted the only attack spell. I mean, understandable that sometimes happens in the heat of the moment when you absolutely have to do something with your spells or just die. Yeah, that was a rough run for Zikra, I think. And Munch was, you know, pretty vigilant utilizing the advantage there. Starting with the 5k, missing the blue white assault. We've seen that so much today, where backdash just makes the blue white assault whiff. Tried to cast the guard crush spell in the air, no good. Sent the green cube. Our old faithful repulsive staff makes initially made the rainbow cube bounce forward with a lot of momentum, but little does that do because that rainbow cube has a pretty pitiful hitbox unless it's already on top of you. It's more for, you know, lockdown and set play. And here comes the patience of Zikra to dash forward. I mean, milks out the YRC, but that YRC does buy Munch this offensive position. Options here are, there we go, 2D, perfectly placed, and another one. Teleports away, opens the arpeggio, and because the black hole staff, they are homing into the right direction, send them back in there, big combo. And there is not a whole lot that Munch can do at the moment as long as the black hole exists. Going back to trying to draw the nuts. Level 3 bit shift, misses the air throw. That's a big one. And again, the draws that Zikra made were not the best for that situation. Would have loved to draw those utility cards when you are in a lockdown situation, but that's the that's sort of the downside. That's sort of the risk of being in test case 3. You have some of the best cards, but you also have a great distribution of cards that don't necessarily do something immediately. So then in those high-pace situations, you might draw a lot of teleports, a lot of buffs, a lot of staffs.
Duel 1.
And then the question is, what are you gonna do with that? And I think Zikra does not belong in the use the Mulligan Super school of Asuka, which is kind of cool because there are so many different ways of playing this character. For one, you have to decide at the start, like, which test cases are you gonna play depending on the round state or the game state. But at the moment, the game state is that you're kind of getting dominated here. Activating blue would be good, yep, because Munch was running out of the minion gauge, would like some extra to use. And with the blue utilized, you can basically go for like a standard infinite loop. Very interesting that people don't really use the red buff much because blue has kinda inbuilt feature of the red. A black hole staff is active. Here comes 2 arpeggios in hand. This is gonna be tough to defend against. Ooh, tried to press a button, tried to anti-air, however, it's a little bit of a gamble if the hitboxes of the cubes are at that very moment in a place that is gonna anti-air you. Nevertheless, one mistake is what it takes to slay the wizard. Ooh, big counter hit. Now Zikra does still have deflect. Oh, nice. So the deflect shield is the tool to buy a little bit of, or make a little bit of space for yourself in order to use that screamer. Ah, sandwiching. This is hard. Won't be able to hit that minion at all. 2D, our best buddy. When you don't got enough attack spells in hand, at least you can send that grounded projectile at the opponent at a moment's notice. Overhead into a conversion with Blue Wild Assault. Yeah, it's kind of cool that even though it's not the best mix-up, you do have a little bit of a inbuilt mix-up machine in you with the use of your command normals, because 6K produces a low and 6 heavy produces an overhead. Alright, got some buffs here from the test case 2 here. This is where the pressure starts. That's actually, the staff is from test case 2 as well. Why is it? Because the positions were flipped. What can we do with this? Terametron scores a hit. I'm not even sure what this staff does at the moment, and it's probably not in the schedule for Zikra to cast it either. Ooh, very close to a wall break. It's gonna be magic shield gone as well, and there's just pretty much nothing to do for Zikra other than try to snipe the minions. Was a good idea, however. Getting that sandwich there was absolutely crucial for Munch. After that, there's probably nothing that Zikra can do anymore.
Duel 1.
And I think for the most part, Zikra has been trying to favor the dashing forward option. So if Munch sets the minions in motion on a high angle, on like an aerial angle, you definitely can try, like such as the what you use now, you can definitely try to dash forward. Very brave buttons here, as the black hole stuff is, you know, rotating in the background. Try to go for a 2D to snipe the cubes. However, the 2 waves of arpeggio are very perilous to try to challenge, and this should be a kill, right? Teleport to the other side. Cool finish. Alright, once again with the 5P anti-air, those P buttons are especially what Zikra has been so good with. Misses the throw. That's actually crucial. Oh, I thought that was gonna be a side switch initially, but going for a little bit of a left-right here. Big forward. Oh, we still get the low. And now, yeah, getting this initiative was absolutely important. Got this. How often do you see this stat? So we got Gravity Enhanced here from Test Case 2. And the OTG is enough as well. Zikra, it's really cool that, you know, as much as we've seen or what we usually tend to see is the Test Case 1, Test Case 3 play, but nowadays in the modern patches, some Asaka players like to sort of dip their toes a little bit in the Test Case 2 as well, depending on the board state. Right, initial knockdown with the TK Screamers. A go-to way of producing a lot of lost frames and a difficult to block situation. Ooh, tried to catch the Screamer, however Munch, with the aggressive forward movement, got there before it went active. Super, super important. And now with the minion horde. At the wall break, that's gonna hurt so much. The extra modifier that, or rather the minus defensive modifier that you get, you take so much more damage than Chip, in fact, when you lose that shield. But on the other hand, you're basically the most durable character in the game before that happens. But of course, you're never going to be in mana shield like 100% of the time, so it kind of evens out. And yeah, I'm not actually sure how the math works out. Teleport forward into a hit. Get a quick wall break here. Terrametron would be really great if Zikra manages to jump up into the air. The Arpeggio as well, but we don't need any of those spells because we are here to mix up when the opponent is low. Why should I start with the lockdown? Why should I go into a position that snowballs when I can finish it right here? I tried to cast on the minion, however, attack command going active a little bit faster. Lots of plus frames from that TK Screamer. Empty hand. Uh-oh. At least we were able to emergency draw into that bit shift. It is leveling up in the background. Cast it now. The level determines the amount of hits it's gonna have. Good trade. Ooh, but then Munch able to get into the corner position. Misses the throw. Absolutely crucial. Zikra breaks out of the corner and now casting all the buffs. This is pretty good. The snipe, look at that. The second Zikra casted Arpeggio, Munch gets in there with the 2D, I think that was. Still getting the Arpeggio out, drawing another one. Black Hole Staff is active as well. Go into the mix-up, there is nothing you can do. As long as those things are orbiting, we're gonna have a clean mix-up into that high-low.
Duel 1.
And even after, we're gonna be safe and we'll be able to go for more. DP spell is in hand. Chooses to disengage from the situation. Saving that DP for a rainy day is gonna be super important. I mean, we can also use it right here. Zikra has drawn actually a very small amount of those DPs in this set. Ooh, with the F-Shiki, converting it with Terrametron. Only one attack spell in hand, at least it's one of the best ones. Might be anti-air again. Yep, immediate burst, Munch knew. Ooh, that's a good assortment of spells, even though, like, that's probably one of the best hands when you draw only one single spell. Green cube, my best buddy. Because of the spread, like, the further the cubes progress on the green one, the more they spread, and the more they spread, the harder they are to poke into. Because they create such a massive wall of red that even if you poke into one, it's kind of unlikely that your normal will cover the range of all of those. Clean air throw. How do we set it up? Rainbow cube. Yep, using it as a combo tool. Zikra. I'm unable to say when the tides turned. I mean, it's the ebb and flow. Heart of the cards. Call it whatever you want, but Zikra has been drawing a lot of good stuff as of recent. Whereas at the start of the set, you got stuck with a lot of like bricked hands. Yep, transitioning into test case 3 with a full slew of good aggressive spells. We have another Arpeggio coming as well. Time to mix it up. Left, right. Good block, but then the 6K produces the low to the other side. Oh, nice challenge here. In the middle of charging resources. Oh, it's the poking 6P into the minion. And then going into forward RC, and the red RC produces a strike hitbox. And utilizing that, a trick as old as time itself. That was really cute, using the 2D from a perfect distance there by Munch to delete the lower end of the volleys of the arpeggio. Which is still, it's still a risk, but I mean, there's not a whole lot of stuff that you can do while the arpeggio is firing its waves. Got that successful sandwich there. It's kind of like the Munch sandwich trap that has been playing against Zikra. Because Zikra loves to dash forward in RPS versus the minions. So if you can get the minion behind Zikra, then you have like a sandwich situation that you can't defend against. Again, oh! But this time Zikra had the counterplay, because you absolutely don't have to just stand there and wait for the opponent to poke at them. You can fire other cubes, and you can use stuff like maybe 2D to prevent the opponent from using the... Oh, what? When did Zikra block? Wait, huh? I thought Zikra was casting, but then suddenly he was blocking and then taking the burst. Absolutely beautiful. Zikra takes this set 7-4. It came as a jump scare. Putting himself in the corner for that mix-up, then realizing that the burst has to be coming. I mean, okay, not to take anything from Zikra, but of course, the lower your opponent gets in terms of their hit point pool, the easier it is to predict when they are gonna burst. If your opponent dies with the next hit, of course they're gonna burst with the next hit. And there were a lot of situations where the opponent just really didn't have a lot of room to play or RPS anymore with that burst. It has to come out now, or you're gonna become a Garfield. But that said, it's like, what? 40% accuracy for taking the bursts for Zikra? Which is kinda amazing, I wanna say. It looked a little bit shaky at the start, but again, I think that's the kind of pace that we've seen from Zikra so far. Sometimes like starting a little slower, but then the variance is sort of gonna even out. Sometimes you're gonna have bad draws, but generally it's like it's all gonna average in the end. So you're gonna get good hands, you're gonna get bad hands. Some hands you can salvage, and then, you know, some hands you're just absolutely unbeatable. But man, I say this every time when there's Asuka on screen. This freaking character is... like, I wish this character was in so many other fighting games, right? This character is such an eye candy. Is so interesting to watch. If you learn a little bit about Asuka, I mean, maybe watching this character is really dull when you don't understand all the mechanics. But if you learn the basics, you don't even have to play Asuka yourself. Just go into the wiki and read up on the spells, watch some Gobo Asuka, how this character works, and then watching Asuka is gonna be such a treat after that. I mean, I think it's one of the redeeming features. It's like I almost live to cast Asuka. It's so much fun. I know I never will be able to control this character, but man, the players who've put time in this character are honestly national treasures. Anyway, that's enough gushing about Asuka. We have technically reached the end of the show, I think. That was 7, right? Yeah. I mean, technically 6, because we had to skip one matchup, but... yeah. Whew. What a night. There was a lot of action from the start to the end. Good distribution of really interesting matches. Both in, you know, terms of how it ended up panning out, but also in how I kind of wanted to watch them myself as well. I mean, when it comes to crafting these matchups, of course I will craft the matches I want to see, because I'm going to be casting those So you better be like, I better make sure that they are hype as shit to cast. So it works out either way. Anyway, let's see if there's anything going on in terms of Guilty Gear Strive on twitch.tv at the moment. Untitled Unmatched is at least on the menu. And I believe that's probably where we're gonna go raid as well. So thank you everybody who tuned in and watched all throughout. Thank you for the players as well. Everybody who were associated in making these matchups. It's been an honor once again. If you want to sign up for these matches, you can join the Discord. Sign up forms are going to be posted a couple of minutes after we go offline. We'll try to match you up with somebody you're going to play really even with. But yeah, that's all for us for this week. Next Sunday, same time, 5 p.m. CEST, every single week. Not gonna miss a show. You bet your ass, we're gonna be there. Till next week, see you again. And yeah, I'm gonna go pet my kittens. Bye-bye.